Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. In this week's show, we're going to preview the 2022 IBJJF Worlds. We're going to recap the Survivor Finisher Series that happened on Flow this weekend, and we are also going to recap Fury Pro Grappling 4. As always in the show, I'm your host, Maine, my co-host,
Austin.
Hey, you doing, Austin?
I am good. How are you, dude?
I am doing good. We have redone the entire Grappling Rewind set. It's almost done. It's not quite done yet, but if you're actually watching the YouTube video, you can see it. If you're not subscribed to the Grappling Rewind on YouTube, go over there and do that. We do post some cool interviews, and we do a bunch of other stuff on that channel, but also watch the video podcast over there, so you can see our new podcast set that is mostly finished. So as a result, I hopefully will not run into any tech issues. The recording computer is now behind me, so I can't see it while we're recording. I hope that goes well. That is probably a change I'm going to make for next week to get that in front of me, because I'm neurotic and it's going to bother me the entire time. But everything looks like it's running well, so we should be good to go. But that's been the last 3 days of my life, Austin, has been redoing the entire studio, repainting walls, and getting everything up.
I appreciate it because I did zero work. I just showed up with some tea and some notes, and I'm good.
Yeah. So we're also going to recap episode 3 of Who's Next.
Yeah.
Really interesting match between Dan. What's his last name? How do you say his last name? Manasoru. Is that how you say it? Manasoru versus Andrew Tackett. In a really fun, interesting match that kind of caught me off guard. We'll recap that at the beginning of the recap section. I don't think we have a ton of news this week for the show. Really, it's just everyone's gearing up for 2022 Worlds. We have a bunch of interesting storylines to talk about for that. We have all the brackets up. We have a bunch of the front runners in the divisions, and I think there's a lot of new people in the divisions and a lot of returning champions, like Lovato's back in his division. A lot of interesting storylines to talk about a little later in the show when we preview Worlds. Do we really have no news this week of any note?
No, I think it all just plays into, like you said, kind of the storyline for both ADCC and for Worlds, but we'll kind of cover that as we talk about matches, I think.
Yeah. We have most divisions we have for ADCC. We have pretty much everyone in there. We have one more trials. The final Asian and Oceanic trials is coming up, I think, on the 18th of June. So we're going to preview that probably next week and then recap that soon. So it'll be a big Worlds recap next week, followed by that. Interesting enough, also, they're running Masters Worlds this weekend as well. Yeah. And I'm not sure I didn't realize that until previewing the show this last week and this week. I was like, that's got to be a typo. And then I realized, nope, they're running at the same time. So
yeah,
is that running in Vegas, or is that running also?
It's also in Vegas.
Okay.
I'm assuming
because this one's at the Walter Payton. This one's at the Pyramid. Pyramid's in LA, and then Masters Worlds is always in Vegas. It's always a trip to Vegas. So
Masters Worlds is for sure in Vegas.
Yeah, it's always
considering doing it and decided to not.
It's always interesting. They've never run them at the same time before, so it just threw me off. We don't usually cover Masters Worlds, because we don't cover Masters Worlds. We usually talk about when the Owls do it and stuff like that. But it is also happening this weekend, so there'll be fun matches to watch for both World Championship events, which is unusual. They've never done that before. So really interesting development there. No other news, Austin. What do you want to preview? What do you want to recap first?
Let's go through the main card of Fury Grappling.
Okay. Where do you want to start on this? We have Jacob Rodriguez versus Achilles Rocha was fire. Do you want to start with that, or you want to lead to the main card first and get to that matchup?
Totally up to you.
All right. Well, let's start with Sean Bradley versus Ben Saunders.
Okay.
Sean Bradley recently beat Craig Jones in Fury Pro 3, I think, in a really, really, let's call it slow and uneventful match.
Yeah.
There he was on top, kind of dominated top position, and that was the entirety of the match. He then headlines again versus Ben Saunders. Ben Saunders of 10th Planet and UFC fame. Really, 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 really well-known submission artist over the years. We've covered him a couple of times on the show for other pro matches that he's had in grappling, but primarily a really, really adept grappler. He is one of 2 people in the UFC to have an omoplata finish. And so Ben Saunders, Killer B, has always been really fun to watch. Sean Bradley does a great job on top here for this match. He pretty much dominates the half guard.
Yeah, Ben sits really early on, and Sean had a lot of top half guard sort of either mufflering or guillotine choke attempts, and I mean, in my mind, that's really what set up a lot of the finish that we saw. So his half guard guillotine attempts ended up leading to like this arm isolation, and that arm isolation ended up being a dorsal Kimura. He frees himself with this Kimura from half guard.
He really like hopped out of it in an interesting way. Like he kind of locked the Kimura up, and in the same sequence, he outstepped and like flopped past over Saunders on it. And Saunders tends to keep his legs really, really high up because he's got really long legs that are very, very dexterous. Has a lot of like Kimura, it has a lot of like triangles off that. But to watch Bradley grab the Kimura and then like in one motion flop over out of the half guard was pretty unique. It's not something that I've seen Saunders get hit with before.
Right. Yeah. I want to say, isn't Sean Brady in the UFC also?
Is he UFC or Bellator? I think he's in UFC.
I think he's in the UFC. I want to say he's undefeated in the UFC or something. Like, hasn't been fighting in the UFC that long, but I want to say he's been fighting since like, let me see.
Probably like 3 or 4-0, I think.
I
didn't anticipate a follow-up question, Austin.
He is 4-0.
Okay. Yeah, I got it right.
Yeah. 4-0 in the UFC. So he's also a UFC fighter. So I bring that up because Fury Grappling has this rule that you can't
heel hook. Yeah.
For if you're a UFC fighter.
Yes.
That's why some of these UFC fighters are allowed to do it because the risk of injury is
it was fine until Cub Swanson blew his leg in half in the Quintet
ruined the fight card.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And that was that's what happened. So it's unfortunate, but at least we still see them in grappling matches. But yeah, that's now a new UFC rule as of probably like a year ago.
Yeah.
That rule came into effect. So that was that match. Bradley, I'll call him Bradley.
You said Bradley a few times. That's okay.
Sean Brady bangs out that Kimura and finishes Saunders on that in the main event. We have anything else on that match you want to talk about?
No. I mean, a lot of good top pressure, like most MMA fighters should have or would have. So
yeah. Again, I was more impressed by Brady and impressed to take a sub over a guy that is as credentialed in the grappling as Saunders. Especially for like an MMA fighter matchup. It was really, really. Saunders is not a guy that I expected Brady to submit, and that really kind of makes me rise my stock up significantly in him and his grappling credentials.
For sure.
Curious to see what he continues to do in the UFC. I'm curious to see now that he has a submission win on Fury, this most recent one, if they're going to bring him back for Fury 5. I would not be surprised about that if he was able to do that. So next match we have Clay Guida versus Brad Bolton. That's an arm triangle submission, really, really close to the end of the match, like 7:30, 30 seconds left or something like that in the match, right?
Yeah. So Bolton he's actually the CFFC president.
Yep.
He filled in for Alex Caceres, who was supposed to take the fight. I'm not exactly sure what happened with Alex.
I didn't get what happened with Alex. They may have mentioned it on broadcast, but I just remember that like. That was the storyline was like, he's out, fucking head president, Bolton is in.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's gangster. Like, I appreciate saving a card like that.
Yeah.
Pulling the Seth Daniels
notice.
Pulling the Seth Daniels route, where Seth Daniels is like, oh, you need a match? I'll be there. I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, I like that Seth has put that in promoters' heads, that if like, hey man, guys pull out, your team does that and fixes the problem. I'm like, yeah, Seth. Do that. So Seth did that twice last weekend.
Yeah.
So it's cool. Guida's top pressure, man. He comes out again in the singlet.
Yeah. Clay
Guida style again. We saw less wrestling from him here because he just.
Well, Bolton pulled right away. He had like this really. He had a decent triangle attempt really early in the match, maybe like 30 seconds in the match. Bolton had a really decent triangle attempt. Guida postures out of it and eventually kind of plays a really top pressure heavy game that kind of. I think it kind of wore Bolton out, but then you have to consider Bolton wasn't training for this match. He's a grappler.
and
he's a black belt.
He talked about it in the post-fight interview. He's like, yeah, man, I'd like to train a little bit before, and put basically.
I'm just imagining like you're running your company, and then somebody at lunch is like, hey, do you want to go like wrestle / grapple Clay Guida?
Fucking Clay Guida. It's like, oh yeah,
sure, I'll do that.
Only one of the longest reigning dudes in the UFC.
He's been around forever.
Ever.
And has a gas tank, right? Like we've never seen him at a UFC fight not moving.
No.
Like he's
hair down, ready to go. Clay Guida. Hey, do you want to fight a literal human engine?
Yeah.
That's a professional fighter.
I thought Bolton looked pretty good considering.
Yeah, no, I mean
and then Guida wins with this arm triangle. It kind of happens as Bolton is on bottom turtle, and he looked like he was trying to sit back to his butt to put his guard back together, and like Clay kind of hops over him and snags the head on the way through.
Yeah.
So I think it might have just been a matter of like cardio, and then I'm sure Clay Guida has like an otherworldly squeeze. I mean, he's been wrestling for a long time, forever. MMA guy, pretty jacked.
We keep saying MMA guy. MMA guy, if you've ever
Yeah.
wrestled or like grappled with an in quotes or MMA guy, especially a guy that fights at a high level like Guida or like Brady or like Saunders, they have a different like kind of strength to them.
For sure.
That is like even unique for grappling. Like they just they have a pressure in the way that they squeeze stuff that is it's unique. And it is like MMA guys, like even grapplers, like pure grapplers, it tends to not be the same kind of squeeze like high level MMA guys have. So that's why Austin and I keep bringing it up, because if you're not familiar, like it fucking matters. It
definitely does.
It makes the squeeze different. So that was again a fun match. Props to Brad Bolton for stepping up again, saving the card, keeping Guida on the card. It's nice to see Guida again wrestle and grapple as he kind of reaches the twilights of his UFC career, continue to be active in showcasing his talents and skills. Next match, we got Jacob Rodriguez defeating Achilles Rocha via unanimous decision. In the pre-show, I was talking to Austin about this in the Grappling Rewind chat we have. I was like, not gonna lie, for me, this is a contender for like a match of the year. Definitely. I think we disagreed a little bit. We had some criteria we talked about.
Yeah, and this is just me being OCD and like hyper specific about what match of the year contender is in my mind versus like what practically happens throughout the year. Banger of a match. It was incredible. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I think I'd like to have something almost more poetic, more dramatic. I don't know how to describe it, but
look, match of the year for Austin has to end in a sub. In a highlight reel sub.
Or like maybe there's something more definitive, like
has to be points.
Maybe it's on points, but it's like this guy scores 2 in the last second, or maybe after like a banger of a match with a lot of action, or maybe like someone like narrowly escapes a submission,
like a Krikorian and Grippo, where it's like come from behind, last second sub to finish in a majorly prestigious event in the semifinals of that or quarterfinals of that.
Any match almost Gary Tonan's ever in, where it's like maybe it ends up a split decision or something, but like we made, this was a shootout the entire time. Not to say this one wasn't. Yeah. But I don't know. Match of the year is maybe high praise.
I liked, just my kind of thought for why this is a match of the year contender is because it was consistent action from two young, up-and-coming prospects. We've both seen them at ADCC. Again, we just had J-Rod win the West Coast Trials, the largest, biggest trials ever, at a pretty prestigious weight class. 88 is a pretty banger, good weight class in the trials.
For sure.
Submitted one via buggy choke in that. Achilles wasn't able to make it to the finals of either East Coast or West Coast, but did very well
Achilles
in both.
Is like 15 or something.
I think he's like...
if it's going to end in teen, I don't care.
Yeah,
that's so incredible that he's that good that young,
Yeah, and it was just wild to see. I think this is why I like this, and especially why I kind of consider this such a great match as a stepping stone, is because these are two guys that are massively on the come up in their career.
For sure.
And we're seeing them early career. Like, I would be pretty shocked if we don't see these guys against each other again in 5 or 8 years.
Sure.
And so having a first match, this is beginning, for me, it's the beginning of a narrative between these two guys in their career at 88.
Fair
Again,
enough.
they may not shake out and end up at 88 at the end.
Probably not.
But it wouldn't surprise me to have these guys be pretty similar size.
For sure.
To cross paths again. And this match was absolutely action-packed.
For sure.
Leg lock shootouts. It had choke shootouts. It had back-and-forth wrestling shootouts. It had pulls. It had entangle. It was just... Both guys were willing to push the action at every avenue. And both guys got stuff going. Both guys showed off really great defense, really great activity, and at no point in the match did either guy really take their foot off the gas.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't really want to I don't have a ton of specifics in this because there are so many moments in the match where it was like, oh, there's like a flying darts attempt.
That was like a minute into the match.
Yeah.
So J-Rod almost had like a standing darts takedown. And then Achilles turns it into like his own arm lock attempt, and I was like, "That's the first minute of the match."
Yeah, I think a minute and a half or something like that. I was like, "Oh, that's really tight." J-Rod has that in, and then you see Achilles slide out and then go for the armbar from the bottom off of getting darsed.
Yeah,
and then you see I was like, "Oh." He might get Jay Rodriguez with that, and Rodriguez is super tough, pulls out, makes the angle, gets his shoulders down, turns, and I went,
I knew that was going to be a banger when that was the first, minute of the match.
That was the first big opening thing.
Yeah, still that's in the feeling out process for most people, and I don't know, they went right after, and it was great.
Yeah, it was just it was wild. At the end of the match, I was like, oh, I think J-Rod got that, but it was close.
Yeah, I think J-Rod looked more dominant, but I think Achilles had, a lot of sub attempts in his own right. But I think it really was the positional dominance that got J-Rod the win.
Yeah, I think also whenever Achilles had some good leg lock entries and heel hooks, but you saw J-Rod never really, you never saw him have to gut through something. He was always very, very proactive, pushing the legs down, either for a single leg X attempt or an outside leg lock attempt. You see him square over top of Achilles. You see him push the leg down. You see him counter, and he would immediately counter into his own positional offense that he would then turn into submission offense with something.
Sure.
And you saw him just sort of in those spaces, Achilles would throw something really good. He would counter and he would get on top, or he would start working from that, or he would throw up a buggy choke or something else off of that. Whereas Achilles was just a little bit, not on the defensive, but continuing to try to react to what J-Rod was doing over the course of the match. This goes, by the way, I like this match a lot too, because this goes to Achilles. I'm I can see it. It's another one of those matches that at any victor, I'm I could see that either way.
I thought J-Rod won for sure. That's who I thought won before I saw the decision. But again, like you said, if it went the other way, it wouldn't be the most egregious thing that ever happened.
No. And depending on, again, with the Fury rule set, I can make an argument for either guy, and more so, recently we're seeing a lot more matches like that, and I really I think that more guys are doing ADCC, and they get to win and to get on stuff. I have to put a stamp on it.
Sure.
And in Nogi, no one's gonna pay me to be a super boring.
Yeah.
Guy that's gonna no one cares.
Grind out a decision. No one really cares.
No one cares. They're not gonna have me back.
Right.
And so you have a lot of these young guys like Achilles and Jay Rodriguez and
go after it.
Guys that are cool. I can do that and go after it, and I can make my legacy and money and living here doing that. Again, Achilles and Wagner's kind of a similar way here.
Sure.
Wagner's not a guy that's gonna lay on you.
Right.
But I like that we're seeing that from more and more guys recently in the Nogi scene, not unwilling to just I'm going to sit in your half guard and play this half guard game and slowly pass over 4 minutes. No, I'm going to try to murder you the entire time, and I'm going to enjoy watching it. So a great match. I thought it was phenomenal. Do you have any other kind of talking points or pieces on the match that you want to go through, or positional scrambles that you thought were really interesting?
There's a minute and a half left. This is probably the last thing I say about this match, because I think we sang its praises enough.
It's awesome. This match was the shit. This is my favorite thing of the weekend. I watched this match.
So there's a minute and a half left, and J-Rod kind of snags this inside, and Miranda pointed this out. I kind of almost missed it the first time.
Oh, I know what secret you're talking about now.
Yeah, this inside ankle pick that he does crossbody, so it's his left hand going to Achilles' left ankle, if that makes sense.
But he does it from a squatted position on the tech up.
He was coming up off of his knees, but so it was a really slick ankle pick, but then also, we didn't really talk about this in the chat, but no one really talked about it in the chat, but I don't know. Achilles still ended up on top in that exchange. So, if that gives you any indication, that's the perfect, screenshot moment of how the whole match went. Maybe I lost, this one small battle, but then on the course of the match, it was so back and forth that it was really good and really scrambly.
The technique on that, and again, this is kind of where you're seeing J-Rod's wrestling kind of show up again, where it's he techs up out of something, and then he realizes that Achilles' feet are close to him, and Achilles hasn't backed out of the way and got kind of sprawled out of the position. He stood up out of the position and kind of is still bent over, and he reaches crossbody, pulls the ankle out, and ankle picks him, starts to come up, and Achilles goes, oh, nuh-uh, scrambles out, and then again remains up and gets J-Rod back down. It was just this wild, oh, this is two guys, even in no points, unwilling to they
didn't want to concede anything.
Yeah, and that's I just like to see that.
That's the tale of the whole match, I feel like.
And I think a lot of guys, in less so now, but I think a couple years ago we just saw oh, you ankle picked me. Yeah, I'm just gonna play from the bottom now because you got me there.
It's sub only. Who cares?
Yeah, and now guys are yeah, it's sub only. I'm gonna impose on you wherever I want to, and not give you and fight you everywhere. Yeah,
exactly.
And it's cool to see from two rising prospects, because again, the Rotolo brothers, we're seeing more and more young prospects come out and show that I'm gonna fight Michael Gaval, I'm gonna fire offense at you the whole time, because that is what modern jiu-jitsu is, and I just love seeing that.
For sure.
That was a great match. Next match I want to talk about is Jasmine Rocha defeating Trinity Pun via unanimous decision. Again, another pretty close match here. Trinity Pun actually had matches on... Actually, J-Rod also had matches on this card and on Survivor Series, and so did so did Trinity Pun.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of good defensive answers from Rocha against Pun. A lot of her leg attacks kind of got broken up. There's maybe, I don't know, almost 3 minutes left, and there's a really... good steam lock that Rocha. I don't know if she pronounces it Rocha or Rocha.
It's
either way.
Wagner's daughter. So I've butchered it for what 5-6 years at this point doing the show. I always called it Rocha.
Rocha.
Because I just do it phonetically, and like I talked to Wagner about it, and he was like, yeah, but again, it wasn't super helpful. He kind of like agreed. He was like,
whatever's cool, man.
That works, and I was like,
yeah.
Thanks, Wagner. I appreciate it. And then he had
Please don't eat me.
Then he had to take a picture of his family at AGC.
That's cool.
It was super cool.
But yeah, back to this match. Under like a minute left, Rocha threw up this arm lock attempt from 50-50. I think that's the thing that looked the most threatening. And like we talked about on the last episode, this what I call recency bias, like the thing that looked the most shocking, because the entire match was like a leg lock shootout.
Yeah,
Pun
for the majority of it. And that's really where Pun makes a lot of her, like, gets a lot of her offense going. And like, she's a very, very good leg locker. She's got great entries and good pummeling. But Rocha had consistently throughout the match would open the legs and turn and like do enough to get out and continue to kind of be able to again push her offense. For sure,
it was pretty back and forth in terms of leg locking. But I think this last attempt from 50-50, and it was an arm lock that looks different. Yeah. It was close to the end. I think that's what got Jasmine the unanimous decision.
And that's kind of what I lean to, too, is like, again, you look at and for Fury, you're judging like an MMA match. So it's like you kind of judge the submission and like close to finishing the match with a greater degree of like, not like stake, essentially. The positional dominance is less important. Unless it's the only thing. Like Fury is not like IBJJF as far as judging criteria. It is much more like MMA because it's run by CFFC, which is an MMA promotion, so they have their judging criteria similar like that. I think again, the arm lock late in the match is definitely what seals it, because in my mind with that criteria, when I was watching it with that criteria in mind, I went, probably like that is, unless Pun's gonna have to put something else like on the board there in order to take that.
When you're looking at sub-only stuff, and it's like kind of back and forth, you're not sitting there with like a like a T chart, so to speak, like, oh, you tried a thing? Okay, but you countered and tried a thing, because it's happening all at once and it's too overlapping to tell sometimes. And so what's a threat? So it's like, well, you both did leg lock stuff, but wait, you did an arm lock thing? Okay, that gets you the win.
Right, yeah. And that's sort of how I find that, whether you agree with it or not, I find that more so that is how things get scored, where it's like an even leg lock attempt, unless something's like super, super deep for one person. Sure. If like, you both kind of get stuff or something's kind of slight and like they defend it, that's just even score. Like no one kind of gains stock or loses stock on that. Yeah. And then if you can continue to have sort of varying degrees of leg lock success or offense and defense, but it's all gets kind of lumped into the same bucket. Yeah. When you have, then on top of that, you have something different like a choke attempt or like an arm lock attempt or like a back take attempt. Sure. If the other person can't counter with something in another bucket, typically it's given to the person that was able to have that fight and that offense in the other area. And so that's the thing. I think that's what wins this match. But again, another fun match. Really cool to see both Rochas on there, and it was good. Any other matches? Oh, also in this match we had a bunch of fun local talent. Alex Wynn took a nice match over Sofia Kalesa via unanimous decision. Eric Naples took a unanimous decision over Dennis Presley Jr. via unanimous decision in basically what was like little guy leg locks. My people, Austin. It was an entire match of just like both guys on the offense, on leg locks, and on the defense. And again, Naples came out looking really good, very, very close. I think he had a couple like a little bit deeper entries into Dennis, but it was a very, very close match. And if you're it's one of those matches to look at for a high level guy. Like, what are they doing to defend different leg locks? Because we're seeing more guys have like measured responses to that, like kind of like the Keith Krikorian and Ash Williams match. It was like, like very measured responses to leg lock attempts, not like you just pulled out. Like, nope, it's pressy, or like Naples going, okay, your leg's here. I'm gonna fight the hand here, get my grip off here,
It's meta
my
and
leg off.
counter meta,
Yeah,
for sure.
But I just like that guys are getting so good now that we're starting to see. It's not just a giant scramble.
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, guys are more calm and like, cool, we're having like a pummel battle here, and I can watch that happen.
For sure.
And like guys are thinking about, oh, your foot's gonna go here. They're not just pulling out and like resetting.
Right.
So that was a fun match. Again, the whole card was pretty fun. A lot of like, there's a whole host of local guys that we deal with a lot, because this is up the road from us by about an hour and a half in Philly. So it's a lot of guys that we see that have not kind of broken onto the national scene yet. Again, another guy, Andrew Cockle, defeated Mike Moreno via unanimous decision. He was also on the finishers, on one of the teams on finishers. We'll talk about him here in a minute, but a really great showcase of local like PA talent, really, and a little bit of Delaware and a little bit of Maryland talent. Also in New Jersey as well. So really, really great to see that. Austin, any kind of closing points on the card?
Not especially. I think just in general, like having more and more grappling on Fight Pass, hopefully, and I've said this ad nauseum probably on the show, but having more crossover events where the MMA crowd can see more grappling who may not be tuned into grappling so much, and they see some of their favorite MMA people going out and grappling. Maybe that gets them into the sport. Maybe hopefully that gives more exposure, which is always a good thing.
Yeah. Again, I forget what it was. I heard something recently, and it was someone talking about getting into grappling from that.
Yeah.
From like, oh yeah, I saw like this thing. I was like, oh, that's the thing that got you into the sport. And it was like we always kind of in our head talk about that and think about that. Like, oh yeah, it'd be great. But to hear someone actually go, I had Fight Pass for the UFC, and then I saw this event come on, and then I was like, oh, I can go do that.
Yeah.
And then they went, it's the barrier is it's not MMA.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so it's on. I forget.
Yeah, if you're like
I think it's the guy we train with.
If you're like an office worker or something,
yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, yeah, man, I'd like to learn how to defend myself and fight, but I'm not trying to get punched in the face.
No,
like this is, it's a good in for a lot of like hobbyists.
Yeah, and so it's cool. Again, I like that CFFC is branching out. And we're seeing more. Like again, SUG is Chael's organization.
Yep.
And they run an MMA event that also has a cage, and they basically were like, oh, it's run grappling too. I like that we're seeing more and more that it's actually getting people into the sport, which is really neat.
100%.
Let's see. Let's move on. So that's the last I got for Fury Pro Grappling 4. Let's move on to the Finishers Survivor Series 2. This is the second Survivor Series they've run. Essentially, it is a 6-team, 5-person team quintet style event. For quintet style events, there are no heel hooks legal, but it is submission only. There are 5-minute matches that. 5-minute?
They're 8-minute matches.
8-minute matches that go until someone either submits. If there is no submission, there's a draw. Both grapplers eliminated. I did not explain that well. 2 teams of 5. You send your first guy out. They both have a match. If the guy on one team submits the other guy, the guy that is submitted leaves. The next person from the team comes out, and the person that was the person that got the submission stays on. The first team to run out of grapplers is eliminated. It's 6 teams of that, with eventually the Survivor Series winner going to the end.
And this one in particular, I think we had this conversation on the preview from last episode.
Yeah.
This one is 155 and under. So I did not know that. I thought generally, and even Andrew Cock was on it, and he's the welterweight champion of Survivor Series. Yeah.
I missed that completely.
Yeah, so 155 and under. So not only no heel hooks, there was no twisting leg locks at all. So you couldn't Aoki lock either. Just a point of clarification as well.
Okay. Yeah, I know there's no heel hooks because on the commentary later in the event they brought up no heel hooks.
Yeah, you can't heel hook.
I didn't know there was also no twisting leg locks.
Yeah, it was no twisting leg locks was a thing that was in the rules.
And I thought about this, and I've thought about this for years and years and years on Quintet. Like, I actually, as much as I hate taking shit out of grappling,
it made it exciting.
I like it because it does force guys to like, you have to get to top. Like it rewards the positional dominance a little more because you have to start going.
The variety of submissions we saw, and we'll get into it, was better. And then I think the amount of attempts and submission chaining was better because it wasn't exclusively the legs. I probably should clarify word choice. Better is a tough thing to say because leg locks are obviously effective, right? You can chain them together. They're very accessible because your legs are easy things to grab. But so I shouldn't say better, but more varied for sure because guys were attacking the back more, guys were looking to stay on top more, looking for front chokes, looking for arm locks.
You're not going to have an 8-minute battle of guys just pummeling for outside position or inside position for the leg
which
locks.
is important, and it's an efficient skill to have.
And they're cool. And they're definitely cool matches. Again, the Naples and Preston
we still saw leg locks, just not an overabundance.
We didn't
of heel
see
hooks.
a ton of protracted battles where both guys are eliminated after 8 minutes after pummeling legs for 8 minutes. Like
exactly.
With the quintet rule set, with the heel hooks being off the table, we typically find that guys are more willing to engage in a variety of submission grappling and not solely leverage their ability to be competent at the legs.
Yeah.
And overall, as a viewer, I tend to find that
I thought it was a little more exciting.
it is more exciting.
I don't know.
Like
Maybe that wouldn't hold up at the highest level.
But we've seen it. We've seen it.
Same thing you said. I want there to be the most, or I should say, the least restrictive rule set possible. Without causing massive injury to the athletes.
You get 3 heel hook attempts a match. That's how to do it. I think. Look, you can do it, but you get 3 a match. Or
cheese that so hard.
Or your team gets 8 total. Like I don't know. It's overall. I've hated the rule for years, but consistently I've had to go. Yeah, it worked out really well. Yeah, and I think after a certain amount of time of saying that, I'm like, there is something there and something to be said in this format for not no heel hooks. Like it's banger.
Yeah, it was great.
So where do you want to start? There's a ton of matches because basically each team you have a minimum of essentially 5 matches, typically 6 or 8 matches, depending on if one person was able to eliminate multiple people.
Sure.
I don't really want to run through every single one of them. I know you have a collection of notes. I got some notes too. How do you want to do it? Do you want me to read through and we'll talk about points of it? Or
yeah, that'll probably work. I mean, we can go through match by match, and then if I have something that I'll just give maybe a 1 or 2 sentence thing.
Let's run through the results. Again, full disclosure on these. Go back and watch the event because these have a really fun narrative that you can follow throughout the event as you're watching it because you see a team, you see a guy oh man, he had 3 matches earlier, is he tired now? It just generally for things like Quintet, like Survivor Series, like Subversive, which is coming up soon as well. 3v3 team Subversive. Cool. It just builds a really cool narrative. Oh yeah, so actually, quick on Equator because I forgot about it in news. Subversive 7 is coming up, and 2 teams that I saw that kind of jumped out at me were Team Red Bowie, which is essentially Team Atos, Rafa Legetti's, kind of Duarte, and Hulk. They are the returning champions. And also we have Team Insane CBD, which is J-Rod, Nikki Rod, and I'm blanking on the woman's name. We've seen her at trials. Short hair, Asian woman. I'm blank. She's always in the finals of trials. It's very, very good grappler, but they are running a tournament coming up. It is on Fight TV. It is on June 11th, so we're definitely going to cover that because it should be fire. But again, another quintet style event. Subversive runs it a little differently, but these team battle formats we're seeing them showcased more, and they're always fun events to just watch throughout. So let's run through it. But if you have not seen this event, watch it throughout because they're fun to just put on and watch. First round, we had Team SoFlo plus Z versus the Honey Badgers, presented by Black Hole BJJ. We had Trey Pratt defeating Aaron Harris via knee bar. Again, the leg locks are still definitely on the table here, and we saw them.
Just straight.
You just got to do straight leg locks, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, this was a really quick knee bar that happened off of Harris's Crowbray back take attempt. I guess that's pretty much all I'll say. This happened within the first minute this sub, so it was really cool to see. So Aaron Harris
kicks it off well. Yeah. We had Trey Pratt versus Esteban Martinez. Esteban takes that via armbar as well.
Yep, that came from a cool X guard sweep. He went from Kimura control, spins for the belly down finish. Really cool finish to see. Also happens pretty fast.
Yeah, this is one. I think we have is Martinez. I think it's his only match on the card.
Nope. Oh, his only match on the card?
Yeah.
No, because he wins that one, then he moves on.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, yep. Sorry. Only victory of the card. We have Molina.
Spoiler alert.
Valdez versus Esteban Martinez, and Valdez wins that via buggy choke. We are seeing more buggy chokes, and people are throwing them at the gym, and I am less of a fan.
This had a lot of great exchanges in this match, Molina versus Martinez. But I thought kind of an upset victory. Martinez was a guy who a lot of people thought were going to kind of run the table once he got in.
I mean, Martinez is a guy that I think at 155, again, Martinez is a guy that we've covered for years and years as an open weight competitor. Cool interview with Esteban Martinez after ADCC trials. You can find on the Grappling Rewind YouTube page, as long as also you can find a view of the new set on that page as well. If you want to go and hear us talk to Esther Martinez, but he's a guy that is known for competing up in weight. So to see him finished here in a buggy choke was definitely a huge upset. We've covered him pretty repeatedly in the past couple of months since ADCC on big stuff and main events, and I have not seen him submitted by someone close in size since Wagner, and even Wagner's up at 85 right now. So pretty impressive result for Valdez here. Next match we had any other pieces there?
No, that was the biggest thing that happened in that match for sure.
Next match we have Molina Valdez versus Grant Frederick, and Frederick wins that by rear naked choke.
Yeah, there was a lot of heavy pressure from Frederick, and it was kind of juxtaposed to the really insane flexibility of Valdez, who just won with this buggy choke. But he also had a war of a match with Martinez, which is kind of why I like this format, because it's how much does fatigue play factor is a big deal.
It always plays a big factor, which is partially what makes it fun, because it opens up, you have a really strong grappler, and you fight someone like Martinez who has an endless unlimited gas tank. You are able to get him out of there and kind of upset victory, but then now you have to face a fresh dude from his team that you're fighting from a deficit, and it's always it makes for really interesting storylines for these sort of events. Next one we had Tim Nasamera versus Grant Frederick. Frederick beats him via armbar. Again, the first round had a ton of submissions going for it.
Yeah. So McNamara attacks this outside Ashigurami straight ankle lock. It's defended by Frederick. He's holding the non-attacking arm and standing up, and then through that scramble, he ends up finding the back and finishing with a Jujigatami armbar of his own. So that was a really cool match to watch.
Trying to fill the judo names, Austin.
I'm just saying what they are, man. I
don't
know.
The Jujigatami armbar is armbar when you slide behind him with the knee on the back of the skull and you slide off the back on it.
I mean, it's really just any armbar where, at least in my mind, you're in the top position finishing an armbar. And then there's variations of the Jujigatami armbar. But I digress. Not that important.
It's kind of important. Semantics. I mean, semantics is a good portion of this show, Austin. I know you've been gone for a while, but argue a little bit on the show, mostly off the show. I'll argue semantics all day for stuff, because that's partially why I do the show. Next match we had Alex Solis defeating Grant Frederick via armbar as well.
So Solis kind of comes out hot. He attacks with this triangle that goes from the bottom that ends up being an armbar transitions that into the back, and then from that he gets a rear triangle. This is also the third match for Frederick, so it makes sense that some of that fatigue is playing a factor.
That speed there, especially when you're fighting guys that are of similar size that are fresh, it plays a factor. It makes for interesting matches. Next match we had Alex Solis, James Colombo defeating Alex Solis via Kimura here.
Yep. So he gets this sub-cycle that we see a lot of the Danaher guys doing, where you play Kimura, side triangle, and then you sort of feed them through this system I think they call Trimora or something. It's triangle, side, top side triangle, a Kimura on the far arm, and then rolling through for a Shaolin style Kimura.
Yeah.
And then kind of just keep repeating that cycle until one of them lands.
And eventually you're going to get one of them because they have no way really.
Yeah, the defense for one is the offense for another.
Yeah.
So
and it's really,
he ends up running him through that cycle and finishing with that top side dorsal Kimura.
Yeah. Dorsal Kimura.
I like the name of that because it sounds way more scientific than what it actually is.
But it's also I think honestly, I do like how you describe that because it makes sense. I can picture dorsal. It's on the top of that makes sense.
It's dorsal because your arm's in a triangle, and that's the arm that's facing upwards. That elbow makes a triangle as if you had a dorsal fin, like a dolphin or a shark or something of that nature. So I think it's a Danaher term, but I kind of like it because everyone knows what I mean.
But dorsal is it's not. It's an English term for the word. I have no problem with it.
Yeah.
As soon as you call it a Japanese term for it, I'm upset with you, Austin.
Now I have to figure out the Japanese.
No, you
dorsal.
don't. Dorsal Kimura makes a lot of sense. Like a big old shark. All right, next match we had Alexander Gomez versus James Colombo, and that ended in a draw. Only draw of the first round.
Yeah.
Props to those teams,
I think this was a strategic move because both of these teams were really going for it submission wise. This was the last member of SoFlo, so. Really all James Colombo had to do was last. He just had this last match where, probably exhausted some of himself, and he needs to be fresh for this next round. Doesn't want to make one of his teammates kind of bear the brunt, so it's hey, man, I can kind of play this lockdown tight game, and then that will eliminate the rest of the team.
You got a strategery it. So hit him with the strategery. And so that moves on. Team Honey Badger moves on to the next round. Next round, we had Team 6 Seed versus Team Bomdia. We had Danny Phillips versus Sid Travalo. Travalo wins via a straight ankle lock.
Yeah, this was a lightning fast, straight ankle lock from like that single leg X kind of ashigarami position, that straight ashigarami position. And we're going to talk more about Sid as we continue through this bracket.
Next match, we have Caleb Underhill versus Sid as well, and he wins by knee bar this time.
Yeah, so he kind of threatened the same ankle lock finish, but instead he switched it to a straight knee bar, but it ended up being that lateral knee bar where you're kind of pushing the knee line across your own hip. Really cool entry after a false reap, and then he moves on to the next match.
And he draws that with Zach Alfernani.
Yeah, so if you look at that, that's 3 people that one person essentially eliminated on the way out. So 2 people that he beats, and then one person he kind of takes out to a draw.
So it's like you took 3 out for your one guy, and then in opening that for your team is on fire at that point.
Yeah.
Cool, you're tired now, but the last 4 members of your team now have to take out 2 other people.
2 people, exactly.
So it's like you draw twice. Like
Yeah.
you have the ball is such in your court. And again, I love these because it builds that story where you're like, ooh, how are they going to do it? The other team, and Alex Viana said this years ago, for any quintet style rule set, you are losing until you win, and that's very much the case here for Team 6 Seed because like you now have to submit.
Yeah.
Like. And it just tends to make the action like really, really good. Next match we had Jeremy Skimmin defeating versus
We can restart that one.
Yeah, let's restart that one. Also,
Take
let's
2.
run it back. You want to do the names?
Sure. It was Nick Shimkin versus Jeremy Viteka.
Yeah, this is the new podcast setup. Now I'm looking behind me to get names, and I'm trying to make eye contact. I'm like, okay, cool. I have some things to change for next week, Austin.
Yeah. It's the beta version.
It is the beta version.
So yeah, the result was Viteka winning from a Darce choke. He used this really cool 10-finger grip just to make the adjustment to get his inside shoulder, under the armpit of Shimkin. I thought that was a really cool adjustment to kind of keep all the head positioning without sacrificing, the Darce setup. So this was like a really cool way to set up your Darces for all you long arm gangly dudes out there, or dudes and girls out there who really like front chokes. This is a cool adjustment that he made to switch to 10-finger just to make the shoulder adjustment and then lock to the bicep.
He doesn't let anything go.
Yeah,
like, you're able to just ride it through and like kind of hold the position the entire time to be able to make the adjustment for later. And it's neat. We're seeing I think the Darce kind of come back to prominence, especially in Nogi.
Yeah,
with, like
sure.
the Rotolos and like a lot of again you said long gangly folk are really leveraging that technique, and I think we're going to start to see a lot more. I don't call it development. Of ways to be able to utilize like the reach and hold the positions like this, and it's cool to see it in this match here. Next match we had Zach Shamos via Jeremy Vetka, and that ends in a draw with Team Bomdia moving on to the next round. We have Trinity Pun, and this is a strawweight title match for finishers. Trinity Pun is the title holder for finishers. I think strawweight. Yeah, strawweight.
Yep.
115 for the women, and Pun wins via armbar in regulation. This is under EBI rules, so to retain her strawweight title. Really cool to see her retaining that title on that.
Yep, so 10-minute match. All subs are now legal because it's not part of this.
Yes, in the super fights.
And the super fights.
Twisting leg locks, heel hooks, they don't give a shit.
Exactly.
You can't slam, and that's about it.
So we saw a ton of Trinity attacking from bottom with this new rule set in mind. Or not new rule set, but alternate rule set in mind.
And kind of similar to her match with Rocha. Again, really, really similar entries. And again, it looks like Trinity Pun's game. That's that's how she wants to implement. That's how she wants to play. We saw it on display in the previous night. Now we get to see it on here on finishers.
Yeah, she caught this armbar from sort of a dead orchard position, or some people call it like top lock position, where you kind of your legs triangled in the opposite configuration to finish a triangle. But both her shoulders were locked
reverse
tight
triangle.
to it. Okay, reverse triangle.
Yeah.
But then I don't know. People start getting into, and this is a pet peeve of mine, is clarity, right? So like, what's the difference between reverse triangle, inverse triangle, rear triangle, and inverted triangle? And for you to sit there and explain it to me is difficult. So I try to be very clear about what those different triangles look like.
I made a huge point back at Blue Belt to like I wrote all of them out and like went through everyone's like I'm gonna call this is this is this is this is this
for sure,
and it's like okay, this is an inverted reverse triangle from the back. You're like I understand immediately why this is complicated.
Yeah.
So top lock is probably a nice way to say that as
naming
well.
it something else makes more sense. But in any case, she angles off for a finish with this nice belly down armbar, retains her title. It's a great match. So go back and check it out. For sure.
Awesome to see Pun. Again, do well and kind of show that she has the top game and the bottom game over this weekend. It was cool to see. Tournament semifinals again. So this was we had two teams that basically didn't buy in, but had pony what are they called? Not pony matches. But they had a buy into the second rounds.
Oh, like a pigtail kind of?
Yeah, pigtail. That's the term I was looking for. Okay. Pigtail. Into these. So Standard Jiu-Jitsu and Team 5 guys had pigtails into, right? Yeah, and then into the semi.
They had buys into the semis is what you're saying?
Yeah, buys into the semifinals because you only had 6 teams as opposed to 8 teams that you would typically have for a bracket like this. But finishers plays fast and loose with the amount of teams they have, which I kind of like, and so... we had Team 5 guys coming in versus Team Honey Badger. We had first match. We had Zach Green versus Daniel Myra. Give me his last name.
Darren Mima.
Oh, Darren. Yeah. Man, Austin, that turn in the head thing I'm doing today is not working out well for me at this point. This is going to work out great for Worlds here.
We'll roll with it. It's great.
We're going to do something with it. Finishes a rear naked choke there over Darren.
Yeah, Green had this almost sweep that led to the back, and that's where he ended up finding the rear naked choke for the win. Good.
Yeah, I just clicked the recording button, and we're good. We're good.
Okay.
I didn't mess up anything. Next match we had Zach Green drawing versus Aaron Harris. Next match we had John Battle drawing versus Esteban Martinez.
Yeah, this is actually a huge. I shouldn't call it a win because obviously it was a draw, but
strategically,
Esteban Martinez,
it's a huge
it
win.
was Aaron Harris and Zach Green just drew in the match beforehand. Esteban Martinez already was kind of warm. Already had a win and a loss in the previous showing against Bomdia. So then now John Battle, I know it sounds silly to say, you kind of have to take out Martinez by any means possible. He's a really big threat, right? He's one of the favorites to kind of run the table, like I said earlier.
Absolutely.
So. Battle had back control for almost the entire 5 minutes, for like an entire almost 5 minutes.
Yeah,
it's like 3 minutes in, he ends up taking Martinez's back, and anybody who's seen Martinez grapple before, holding him in one position is almost an impossible task.
We've seen so many guys get his back,
sure,
but we've seen very few guys be able to consistently hold his back for a long amount of time, and it was really cool to see Battle be able to do it, and he locks him down. He's Battle isn't necessarily looking for the finish the entire time. He's active, but in the past when we have ever seen someone take Martinez's back, they do one thing and they overcommit, and Martinez is just able to turn his hips, get low, because he is proportioned in such a way where he knows how to use that very, very well, and he's short. He has very short legs, and so he's able to turn his hips inside your guard. And Battle, again, I was curious to see how this contrasts, because Battle is kind of notoriously a longer dude for 55. So to have him be able, even kind of with that against him, to control Martinez like he did for the length of the match was really, really impressive.
Yeah, it was great. So that draw ended up putting them ahead still because they had won the previous 2 matches.
Yep. Yeah, I saw it. You out there?
Yeah, I'm dying somehow.
I see that. You need some water?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay. Good luck.
I think we're good. We keep it moving.
Okay. Next match. Next match we have Andrew Cockle defeating Grant Frederick via armbar here.
Yeah, Grant Frederick's the guy who we saw run 3 matches in the previous bracket for Honey Badgers. So Cockle switches from this top full armbar to a 3/4 armbar. Grant comes up on top, but then Cockle bellies down to the reroll and then ends up finishing back on top. This is a really good transition between different armbar setups, and this is what I was saying before about different types of Juji Gatami. You can consider all of these topside armbars Juji Gatamis,
right?
But I think changing your leg orientation or changing which arm goes under the attacking arm is huge, and you see the different applications through this set. So I think if you are like a nerd like me who wants to see why you would change your leg positioning or your gripping during someone trying to counter or defend against your armbar, this is a really good setup to watch.
Yeah, and Andrew's been a really cool guy we've watched for years and years, I think through purple belt, into brown, and into black belt. I actually commentated a couple of his matches over the past for like SAGC and I think another event as well. But it's really like has a whole depth of interesting technical knowledge. And again, he gets wins on both days, on Fury and on finishers back to back. So really cool. Next match, we have Cockle again finishing James Colombo via a triangle armbar. Again, showcasing the depth of his armbar technique.
Yeah, this is the last man up, obviously, for Honey Badgers. He snags the same kind of top lock, this like wrong way triangle, so to speak, and he ends up switching to a traditional front triangle for the finish. Really good control with his guard. That was really cool to watch. So
that team 5 guys moves on, takes out Team Honey Badger, presented by Black Hole BJJ, and then they're going to end up now in the finals. So we move on to Team Standard Jiu-Jitsu versus Team Bomdia, and we come out with Gavin Crowbray via Jimmy Van Ostal, and Crowbray takes that with a straight ankle lock.
Yeah, this is a lightning fast finish. He sits, elevates Van Osdal, and then rolls through for a lightning fast ankle lock finish.
Yeah, very quick. Again, but in these formats, that's really what you want. Yeah. You don't, because you're going to have to go, if your team does well, like in your first guy, realistically, you may go 5 people in a row. I do not want to be out there for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
During the whole duration of these times, or like for any longer than I have to be. So being able to do it and get it done quick is super important. Next match, we have Gavin Crowbray again versus Quinn Poirier, and he wins that one via armbar. Keep talking.
Yeah. So it was a great switch to address the hitchhiker escape from Poirier to keep the armbar. So Crowbray uses the bottom scissor, so I'm like...
Look how awesome my wife is getting water for us.
Shout out to Rachel, thanks. So Crowbray uses like kind of like I'm trying to think of like how to phrase it. So it's like he's on bottom and he switches from like almost like the same kind of switch you do with your legs when you switch from a triangle to an armbar.
Yeah.
Where your leg overwraps the head.
Mm-hmm.
He uses that same transition to switch into a quarter armbar on top to finish. And I say quarter armbar, I mean like your foot in the armpit and the other foot going over top of their face.
I call it a door chalk armbar, essentially, because like you're using a short leg at that point underneath, kind of on the same side. It's not extended all the way over, like out of over them.
So yeah, and this is what I just said, I don't know, 2 seconds ago about switching your leg positioning to address the situation.
Mm-hmm. But he also, while doing that, being able to maintain control.
Yeah.
Like you're able to do that and switch while using your other leg and using the arm in your body to keep everything wrapped and kind of controlled enough that you can get your leg into the position to be able to keep fighting. It's again something where you see at the high levels, and it's neat to see here because like that having that ability to control and move while still having enough control to make the movement possible is one of the things that I like watching most in jiu-jitsu, because it's like, oh, that's really neat that you can do that with your body.
Yep.
So really nice. And I've lost my place. Here we go.
Gavin moves on.
Yep.
He goes against Trent Stump in this next match.
Another armbar win.
So this was kind of like this was interesting. I mean, it's more of a rear triangle sort of finish.
Yeah.
Stump wrestles up from the bottom, and in the like ensuing scramble, I don't even really know how you even make this happen organically, but he snags this rear triangle to get the finish. So obviously he's going to bend the arm the wrong way because it's there.
Right.
But it was more, I don't know. I would consider this more of a rear triangle finish, but kind of when you're doing triangle armbar, it's like, what did you tap to? I don't know, man. It was a submission.
What did you tap to? I don't know. The shoulder, the arm, the elbow, the neck, like the other side of the neck. Like there's so many different things that can kind of go like wrong work. I typically... I think this was the armbar based on just like the angle that he had on the neck. Mm-hmm. I think that like he's going to pull the arm back. It looked like either shoulder or arm.
It's one of those things where it's hard to tell unless you're the one in it, I feel like.
Yeah.
I do a lot of rear triangling in my own jiu-jitsu practice, poorly, but I do it in my own jiu-jitsu practice. And I typically ask the person what they tap to, because I am looking to pull the arm up because that tightens the choke.
Yeah.
The higher their elbow goes or their shoulder goes over their head, or their elbow goes over their shoulder, I should say. I guess does that make sense? The higher their elbow is in relation to their shoulder, the tighter the choke is. Mm-hmm. But also, I need that to start straightening the arm out.
Right.
So if they tap because they feel
by effect, Rachel for the last 2 years has been working triangle from the back, and so I have been in so many of these.
Yeah.
And like what a tap. It's like, I don't know, man, everything hurts. So but I've also, as a result of like working with her so long, I've gotten really good at like looking at it from like an outside viewer and knowing like, oh yeah, that's probably he's tapping shoulder, he's tapping neck, like he's tapping arm, just because I've been in it for like hours of being in that sub while we work it. So that's again, Crowbray moves on again.
Yeah, this is the third match in a row that
he's
won.
about to pull a Lachlan, and if you don't know, Lachlan was on what was that event called? It was like one-off event that had like Rodriguez and had Lachlan and had not Essential. It was an event on Fight Pass that happened like right after ADCC and reached a bunch of guys, and Lachlan took out an entire team himself. So that's like
it wasn't Quintet?
It was a Quintet event, but it wasn't Quintet. It was like another event that ran, and Lachlan beat everyone in a whole team. And like, I now call it pulling a Lachlan.
Okay.
If you have your first guy beat everyone,
that's cool.
But again, so that's what Crowbray's looking for a Lachlan right now. So he takes on Sid Travalo, and Travalo takes him out with a straight ankle lock.
Yeah, he sets up this inside Ashigrami from like this belly down kind of crab ride, and it goes straight into this straight ankle lock, which I think is maybe one of his strongest tools. We just saw him with Team Bumdia kind of running through some of the Honey Badger team with the same kind of setup.
So next one we have Romero Jimenez.
Yeah.
Whew, looked over there and read it wrong. Versus Sid Travalo, and Travalo takes him out with a straight ankle lock as well. So wait, nope.
This is an armbar from guard, I think.
I looked up with the wrong thing. Travalo takes him out with a dead orchard.
Same sort of dead orchard, whatever you want to call it, top lock, runway triangle. But super fast armbar finish when you get both of their shoulders trapped and then you just spin whichever arm is still presenting itself the wrong way.
And then because they have no avenue to pull out of it in that way.
And Jay said this on the commentary. Jay Regobudo, shout out to him. He said this on the commentary. It's like really the only way, not the only way, but the most expeditious way to get out of that sort of setup, that dirt orchard setup, to avoid arm locks is to push both your shoulders past their head. So it's like you kind of have to wade yourself in even deeper into it to start working your way back.
That's one thing when I worked the double armbar a lot at like white and blue belt. I figured out that like, oh yeah, if guys pull out, I win here. But if guys push in, and again, I was in MMA gyms, and like MMA guys were like, oh cool, I just dive into this and like I'm out of it. And I was like, oh yeah, and that orchard is a similar kind of like double arm lock kind of thing
for sure.
And pulling out of it typically, unless you're real game, isn't the way out of it, and it's pushing in. But again, Big J on commentary for both Fury and for this, one of the best in the game with the information on the mic and just the way he presents. It's awesome to hear him there. Next match, we had Noah Schaefer taking on Sid Travalo, and Travalo takes it by Gogo Plata again.
Yeah.
Do not see him very often. I love when we do.
So Sid, usually a bottom player, Noah actually sits and then wrestles up into Sid's guard. Sid gets a really quick Sean Williams guard and then starts working the Gogo Plata for the finish. This is if you were keeping track, that's the sixth person that Sid's beaten between the two
Bro's having a day.
Yeah.
But again, that's why you like the format, because you get to see the depth of someone's game, and you get to see them push through like being tired versus fresh people. It builds a really interesting narrative, and it's just awesome that you get narrative like this in these kind of events. Last match of this, we had Trevor Price versus
second to last.
Where am I at?
Let me second to last match. Trevor Price
versus Sid Travalo, and Price wins that via straight ankle lock.
No, Price wins. Price wins. It's a really quick outside Ashigrami straight ankle lock.
Yep.
I think at this point, I don't know. Sid's had more matches than anybody else on the card so far.
Yeah. Six. So you're deep in, and you're fighting a fresh guy essentially. Like that's a really hard thing to come back from.
This is my shout out to Trevor Price for getting a monster, like tapping a monster really quickly. But I think this was kind of like a mental lapse. Just fatigue catches up to you after so many matches, and
you're just not as quick, and you're just a step behind with your ability to like a guy who's big, strong, and not tired latches onto you, and you're like I'm not gonna be able to get out of this. I need to and it's unfortunate, but. It
happens.
It happens in these formats. Like you have to make weird decisions in these formats because you've had a bunch of matches and now you're fighting a fresh guy who's had no matches.
Yep.
And it's interesting. And I think Price has had matches prior to this, but has not had as many as Travalo here. Right. So final match of that, we have Trevor Price versus Jeremy Vetka, and Price wins that via straight ankle lock.
Yeah, he gets a tap after some really cagey defense from Viteka, but he keeps working to make the adjustments for the extension that he needs on the straight ankle lock finish. So yeah, I mean, it was a great showing for both teams, but Team Standard moves on.
Yeah, and again, they were looking They're looking good. On the super fights, we had TJ Larmy defeating Angelo Solano, and Larmy gets that via armbar and regulation. And homie is pumped after getting it.
Yeah. So TJ Laramie is also a UFC fighter, I think.
I think so.
Like an up-and-coming one, but I think he's also a fighter. I'm going to double-check on that.
So. Yeah, I think he is as well.
So, yeah, Laramie stepped over from mount to side control with a lot of hip and head control. He pretty much dictated the positioning for the entire match, and then he ends up with this mounted armbar finish. So, really good showing for him. Let me see.
Can you pull it up?
He is in the UFC.
Nice. What weight class?
I am finding out.
Is he a 45 or bantamweight?
He is a featherweight.
A featherweight, okay. Yeah.
Cool.
Next match, we had Max Hansen versus Jacob Rodriguez. And Jacob Rodriguez, fucking again.
Yeah.
Another one.
Yeah.
Buggy choke finish from the bottom.
Yeah, both these guys are on
it's one of those memes, like, he can't keep getting away. It's a Spider meme. He can't keep getting away with it. And, like, again, Rocha got out of it.
Yeah.
But, like, it
so I
looks
think
so
both
tight.
these guys are on Who's Next.
Yeah.
I think Max didn't make it into the house, but was on the first episode.
He's the one who had the 3-hour match with Bradley.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was Tristan Overvig, who I think had the 3-hour match.
Oh, am I wrong? I think I'm wrong.
Bradley.
I think I'm wrong about that.
Yeah. I
bad.
can't remember who Max Hansen drew, but in any case, both of them were didn't make it into the house, but were both on the Who's Next show.
Yes.
The note I had about buggy chokes, and you see a few buggy chokes throughout this tournament. If you're going to stand in a rule set where slamming isn't allowed to relieve the buggy choke, it has to be pretty quickly. I can't remember which match it is, but we see someone and Jay keeps saying, let gravity do its job. But after you get to a certain point, once their elbow gets so far behind the pit of their knee, it's kind of a done deal unless you kind of re-buggy choke them back, which requires some dexterity that not most people have.
Yeah, we've seen it in recent history once on one of the qualifiers at 10th Planet.
Yeah,
I think Renee Souza
double buggy choke
had it done. I forget who did it to him, but it's uncommon. But
exactly.
It really, as soon as Max stands up, you can see like he stands, but again, he stands kind of labored, and he starts to push, and you see as soon as he starts to push that it gets really, you can see the color in his face change. Like, it gets really tight, and I was like, oh, I don't know how he's gonna get out of that. And you can get there if you start framing. You can like pry them off there, but you have to fight through choking harder while they like have to start letting go there, and it's
like doing a deadlift with pardon the pun, dead weight, and then also someone's choking you while doing it. Really
and also
difficult.
As you frame them off, it gets tighter until they let go, because you have to push essentially into the choke for that particular defense. It's really interesting, but again,
I think if you're gonna use, like I said, if there's no slamming allowed in this rule set, which there isn't,
right?
In this particular tournament, you're gonna have to do it sooner than later, because once they start getting everything locked in tight, then it's kind of the wrong move to stand up, in my opinion.
Yeah, and J-Rod can't keep getting away with this, so he gets another one. Just props to him. Like, it's a technique that we're starting to see a lot of the younger dudes just lean into and like get successful with, and like, so now guys, you're on top, and there's still that threat of that choke, and we're seeing people really get good at it, which is. Again, it's the next thing. I don't believe in it, but I've been caught in it.
It only works if you do believe in it.
I've been put guys in it, and so it's like, it's again, watching the meta change in front of our face in real time is always exciting, but fun to see J-Rod pick up another one here.
Yep.
Moving on to the tournament finals, we have 5 guys versus Standard Jiu-Jitsu. First match, we had Pete Shoemaker, who hasn't gone yet, versus Deandra Crowbray, and Crowbray wins that via rear naked choke.
Yeah, it was a really cool arm trap. With the legs to see Cobra get that rear naked choke finish.
Yeah, nice and quick. We had Mike Padilla versus DeAndre Crowbray as the second match, and he gets this was dope. This is brutal.
Yeah,
Crowbray's on the back, and Padilla is trying to like do the top end shuck off, and basically like he's got his hands planted. It's the position you get the Sulabayev stretch in. Like you only get in one spot, and you have Crowbray like holding on to the back, and then Jay calls it out as it's about to happen. Oh, he's got to watch for the Sulabayev stretch. And Padilla has just, Crowbray drops his chest a little bit down, and he underhooks the leg, and he just rolls through, and it looks exactly like every other Sulabayev stretch that you've ever seen.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where Padilla was aware, but he also didn't want to have his back taken. It's a very late finish, so I think, because he was doing so well in the match, a lot of back and forth, a lot of submission attempts on both ends, but I think because it was so late, maybe just the fatigue got to him. So you can almost see the wheels turning in his head. Like he takes half a step up, Crowbray throws the first hook in, and then locks his legs behind the one hip, which is what you need for a Sulabayev stretch because you're going after the opposite leg with your hands. So he stands to one leg, and then you kind of see him almost see like the gears turning. You see his brain kind of like switch on, like, oh wait, I don't want to do that. Goes back down, and then comes back up again for the second time, and then at that point, it's kind of too late.
But the setup is, again, I wish I had more on the setup, but there is really only one way that you set up this move. And
in general,
that's what happens is they post like this, and you have high back control on them, and then you get it. And then Padilla looks like his leg's hurt. Again, I hope that...
Yeah, he kind of hobbled off the mat, had some guys helping him off the mat, so hopefully he's all right.
I hope that, again, because it typically tears the hamstring whenever it happens, and I hope that didn't happen because I like watching Mike Padilla compete. He's a fun guy that's been on a lot of local cards. We covered him for years and years. Wish him well. Hope he is well.
Yeah.
Really nice finish from Deandra. I hope he is still well. Next match we had Zach Green versus Deandra Crowbray, and Crowbray wins that one via armbar.
Yeah.
Killing it, dude.
Yeah. This was like great patience from Crowbray to against the great defense of Green, because there were a ton of Kimura threats, which set up this kind of 3/4 armbar position.
Yeah.
That Crowbray ended up finishing.
Similar to one of his earlier matches as well. Like we're seeing.
Well, we saw his brother earlier. Or you're talking about early matches in this tournament?
Yeah.
So we saw Gavin, but I think this is the first time we saw Deandra. I could be wrong.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. My bad.
Yeah.
We see Gavin,
so
and
he's trying to do the same thing his brother did and trying to run through as many people as possible.
Yeah. Next one, we have John Battle versus Deandra Crowbray, and Crowbray gets this via another knee bar.
Yeah, Deandra inverts and leg pummel so well that it's pretty impressive, because we saw this in the Martinez and Battle match. John Battle has pretty incredible floating and balance for how much pressure he can also generate.
Yeah.
But I think the inverts that Crowbray did in this match and the leg pummeling that he did so well really kept him kind of guessing at where to put his weight, so he can never really settle him all the way.
Crowbray was, I think, a little bit small. Like he's not as lanky as Battle, and he does a really, really good job of getting into your hips and getting like under you in a way that he continues to force Battle like out of position to like get away from it and get his legs back in.
For sure.
And Crowbray's able to kind of capitalize on that to pummel his own leg in to get the knee bar. It was kind of a weird angle on the knee bar too.
Yeah,
it wasn't a way we see the knee bar finished like super frequently. So again, just kind of speaks to the level of Deandra. Next match we had Andrew Cockle versus Deandra Crowbray. This was a fun match. Go back and watch this. I actually watched this match on the event, and I fetched another video from like a sideline angle that shows you what was happening. It was cool. It was a neat match. Deandra is a couple of matches deep at this point, and
he's almost run the whole table.
Yeah.
So he's gotten, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is his 5th match of just this end of the bracket.
Yeah.
So this would be the last guy on that team.
Yeah, Andrew's the last dude on.
So he almost runs the
on
table
5
on
guys.
the team. Pretty impressive stuff.
Andrew, off of like a outstretched post from Deandra, is able to jump over for like kind of like a modified like guillotine entry, armman entry, and then switches it up to a darce. Is that what you saw?
Yeah, it looked like he had this kind of straight ankle position. So Crowbray had to kind of wrestle up, almost like a single leg, like body locking kind of scramble. And in the scramble, Cockle finds the head and arm, and then he ends up getting the darce for the finish.
I was really impressed with the kind of, because Deandra rolls like 3 times or something like that out, and I was really, really impressed with Andrew's ability to stay on the neck throughout this. It's not something that you typically see people ever able to hold that well.
Yeah.
Really,
It was really deep. It seemed really tight too.
Yeah, and Andrew's able to get it. In the final match, we had Andrew Cockle versus Deandra's brother, Gavin Crowbray, and Gavin's able to get that via straight ankle lock. Again, watching him and commentating Gavin's matches over the years, like his leg locking has gotten so much better. Like he held like Andrew Alexander Romanov a while ago. in a local Copa Virginia event, and it's just been wild to watch him. He taps Cockle kind of quickly with the leg lock. Like Cockle's not going to get his foot broken off here, and you can see Gavin locks up and starts to go for it, and Andrew's like, oh, okay, and like gets it. So I'm curious to see or to kind of talk to either guy about like how tight that was, because Andrew's a dude that I know I've covered him versus like Mateus Lutz, like tough as nails, and I'm just curious like what about that finish I'm missing in viewing it, because like Andrew was like and kind of tapped in the transition for Gavin like going down on it, in a way that I'm like not used to seeing either guy finish.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure either. I don't know. Kind of some. I mean, that was the last match of the card for the tournament anyway.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious to see where this puts some of the guys, because I don't know. We've seen Andrew Cockle kind of fight all over the place. He's the 170 title holder.
I think so. He used to be, at least.
Yeah. So I thought it was really interesting. I think my big takeaways were there were 3 people who stood out, both the Crowbray brothers, and then
we've seen them on
Sid
ACC
Travalo.
trials.
Those 3 kind of ran through the most. I mean, by far ran through the most people, but also had a ton of finishes.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I would say if you go back and watch, I mean, I would say watch the entire thing. But if you're going back to watch like certain people fight, those are the big ones that I would say watch.
And I think those are guys we're going to see, like Esteban. Like we're seeing those guys on more and more events and performing really, really well. And so awesome. Overall, really great event.
For sure.
One more match to talk about for the recaps, then move on to Worlds. We're going a little long right now. Talk about who's next match between Dan Manasuri and Andrew Tackett. Did we talk about this already or no?
I don't think we talked about the match.
So this is the most recent match on Who's Next, episode 3. This is the matchup between Dan, weighs about 295 pounds, and he was the guy that I think a lot of people were picking as the front runner to win, especially with his trials victory at plus 99 in European trials.
Yep.
He went up against Andrew Tackett, who is one of the smaller guys in the house at this point.
He's the smallest guy remaining.
Okay, yeah, smallest guy remaining, and the whole episode is pretty funny, but the B team guys, or Greg Jones's team, gets in after the training session and they pull the camera footage on everyone and they go through it, and it's a very Craig Jones kind of way to do things. And they were basically like planning that, Dan is going to pull an outside heel hook, be ready for that. And Dan went, he pulled, and Andrew did a really, really great job the entire time, like staying in outside passing position. And he did the thing you see really, really good small guys do versus very heavy guys, is know when to engage on top and also avoid ever getting turned over. Like, commit enough to go for something, but if it's ever not going your way, you have to have a good outlet and a good way to get out of the position, get your leg position up, avoid them ever getting to your hip, avoid like ever getting locked down in a way that you're going to get turned over and end up on the bottom, because you will not ever recover from a bottom position, and Andrew does that beautifully.
Yeah.
I was really curious, and you may be able to shed some light on this or not. I'm curious as to why like Dan didn't decide to wrestle Andrew when he has 100 and something pounds on him. Probably it was an interesting decision on his part.
I wonder if his A game is so tailored towards legs, being one of the Danaher guys, that he doesn't feel as confident. And maybe he just had something to prove. He's always, seems in a lot of interviews or a lot of like footage of him, he likes to say that he's the big guy playing the small guy's game. He's technical enough to still wade into these deep waters. So maybe he had something to prove. Like, hey, if maybe, and this is complete speculation on my part, but if you're trying to prove that you're on the same technical level as these high level guys, you want to go in there and you want to beat them technically. You don't want to just mush someone and they're like, oh, well, you only won because you're big, which is a completely viable answer in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an open weight thing.
Exactly. But at the same time, if you want to be looked at as a very technical guard player, that you could do this stuff to anyone, then he might have had something to prove. That's my most logical, reasonable answer, because he had such a weight advantage. Yeah, it was not use it seems.
It was an interesting tactical decision there, and again, Andrew does a really great job. Eventually, after like a little under 8 minutes, he's able to get around. Does a beautiful armbar attempt, and it's something that I've been working on a lot. He goes from armbar from like the outside kind of Kimura on the arm, and he's able to shuttle that down and push that in and take the back off of that.
Yeah,
he gets the back. He locks in, kind of tries to lock in a little bit of a body triangle, and then fights the hands for a minute or something like that.
Yeah.
Gets the rear naked choke, and that's it. Overall, again, really interesting kind of matchup. It's Dan was one of the favorites. Again, that being said, this match is also 3 months old.
Yeah,
at this point.
Yeah.
And with Dan's like level of training and improvement,
I'm sure he's made crazy improvements since then.
Like he's won trials since then.
Yeah,
like it's probably not looking at the same guy.
Oh, for sure.
That we were looking at. So again, I don't want to read too much in the match, but it is the most recent match that came out. It is interesting there, and I'm curious to see what we're going to see from both guys in the future, especially after this match. Huge win for Andrew.
Yeah,
especially taking out who a lot of people thought was, the front runner just based on
just size
alone, being 295 pounds.
For sure.
Interesting match. And again, really, I'm enjoying the series. Like 3 episodes in, I'm having a super fun time watching it. And it's been fun. So let's move on to our preview of the IBJJF Worlds. Let's start off with ultra heavyweight for the men.
Sure, that's cool.
We're just going to preview the adult black belts because that's all we got time for. And pick some of our favorites and then end up being wrong the next week. Again, we have brackets out right now, so we're going to talk about the brackets and just sort of give like gut picks for who we think. We're probably, as always, for any big preview like this, because we're previewing like 18 brackets here, we're going to get stuff wrong. We're going to miss.
Oh, 100%.
Like, somebody's going to text me tomorrow and be like, hey, this guy's in the bracket. He's ranked number 2.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I missed his name in the bracket. Like, so that's
gonna happen.
That may happen here. With that caveat out of the way, fucking Gutenberg Pereira is an ultra heavy, and we have Victor Hugo in ultra heavy. They're on opposite sides of the bracket.
Returning champion and an ADCC trials winner on opposite ends of the bracket. So you have to look out for both of them, obviously.
Yeah, Victor Hugo was former world champion 2021. We have a bracket of 15 folks. We also in this have Herbert Santos and Rafael Lovato Jr. in the first fucking round, man.
Yeah.
First fucking round matchup. I have no idea how that's going to go.
I'm
really
curious to see the return of really both of them if you think about it.
Yeah. And Erberth is now at Atos. Like, what does he look now at Atos into that camp and that structure again?
Exactly.
2017 world champion. Lovato 2007 world champion. Like, I kind of want to give it to Erberth, but like Lovato has been a monster recently.
Yeah. And then kind of my dark horse is kind of at the bottom of the bracket who's going to fight the winner of those two, Roosevelt Souza, who's just a ADCC trials winner.
Yeah, and
I think he's going overlooked because, I mean, if you have Igor Schneider, who took third in 2021, you have Victor Hugo, you have Gutenberg Pereira, all guys who I'd say they're pretty heavy favorites without much pushback, I'd say. But I don't know. This guy's coming in hot off of a really big win, maybe like one of the biggest wins of his career, winning trials. So I think he's the one to look out for as well.
I think this is Victor Hugo's to lose.
For sure.
I'm curious to see how Gutenberg Pereira does. I'm curious to see if the winner of Erberth and Rafael Lovato is going to fight Gutenberg. So I think that's going to go. And then I'm curious to see who faces Victor Hugo. I'm going to go Victor Hugo here because big man flow is giving me no reason to pick against him, but...
So let's say, who do you think semis, and then who do you think wins finals?
I think Gutenberg is going to win the left side of the bracket.
Okay.
And I think Victor's going to win the right side of the bracket. That's how I think it's going to go.
Okay.
I am curious to see if we're going to have Rafael and Erberth. That's sort of the dark horse. I'm just going to give it to Erberth for youth.
Okay.
And just because like he's now at Atos, and I think we're going to see a return to form.
Yeah.
Under the kind of tutelage of Andre Galvao.
I would love to see that.
I have been wrong many a time about this, but Erberth can just do things that we don't see other guys at the weight. Yeah. He's one of the first guys I ever saw that was a heavyweight or ultra heavy sprawl out of someone's guard during the guard pull, the flying guard jump, and like get around. It's like, oh shit, like guys at your size aren't doing that, and like the Wolf does it real well. So that's what I think. What do you think? Same thing?
I'm thinking Hugo wins the entire thing, and if not, I might look for Igor Schneider to kind of upset everything. But
Dreamart, I missed that actually.
He's gonna have to fight Hugo on his side of the bracket, so
in the semis.
So I think that's almost like I don't know, man. That's really tough.
So by the way, if anyone doesn't know how I pick brackets, I pick the favorite almost exclusively all the time, bro. That's me. That's 200. That's 5 years of doing this. I'm like, the favorite, Maine's pick. And occasionally, if you're a young murderous prospect, pick the prospect pick. Those are the two. Those are the two picks. Miranda's a dark horse pick person.
I mean, man, between Gutenberg, Igor, and Victor Hugo, I don't really know for sure. Victor, you'd easily say just because he had a great run last year, but I don't know. I kind of want to see some upsets. I'd have to go Igor if I'm going to go upset pick.
All right, that's a reasonable pick. Moving on to the super heavyweight division, we have a division of 19 now, so a bigger division. Eric Muniz is the number 1 seed here on the bottom side of the second bracket. Opposite to him, we have a front runner. We have Devontae Johnson, ranked 6. We have Marcus Vinicius Ribeiro, ranked 4th. And by the way, rankings are just based on points.
Yeah.
So basically, how you did in opens, how you did in grand slams. So they don't mean a ton, but they do kind of mean something. We have Nicholas Margali on the left side of the bracket, ranked number 2. Also former world champion, won it last year, and then got some weirdness with the DQ, and
Sure.
that we can deal with that. But he's back. I'm happy to see he's back. On the opposite side of Nicholas Margali's bracket, on the right side, we have Felipe Andrew. And then, so I think this is going to be a 4-way matchup. We're going to have Eric Muniz, Devontae Johnson, bottom half of the bracket, because I think Muniz takes his side of the bracket.
Sure. Yeah.
And then I think we're going to see Eric Muniz take that over Devontae. I think it's close. Devontae will definitely have his moments in the match. I'm going to pick him. And then I think we are going to see Nicholas Margali and Felipe Andrew meet in the finals. And I think we see that rematch. And I think Nicholas Margali knows what it takes to beat Felipe Andrew. Although my big question here is, with Nicholas Margali's recent focus on no-gi and recent competition in no-gi, how much is that going to affect his world's progress and his world's progression, because he's training with Gordon in the gi now? I'm curious.
I don't think that personally, I don't think that's going to affect him too much. It's not like he's like, oh man, how's this table tennis game gonna? He's still doing jiu-jitsu. I don't think it's gonna.
It was kind of a leading question. I don't think it fucking matters at all.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting kind of wrinkle that was not present prior. He's now with a new team in a new training environment.
Yeah.
And with training with Gordon in the gi, who is a no-gi guy, like, noticeably a no-gi guy, but he's with a really good camp. I am very curious to see how much that will change his jiu-jitsu in the short term under that new tutelage, or if he's going to be, return to form as always and be the monster that he has always been.
Yeah, with both of them getting kind of I guess they don't really get a bye. I guess they get 1 bye, really, if you think about it, where some of the other guys have gotten kind of almost 2.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I see them. I think it's going to be Felipe and Nicholas in that half of the bracket, who end up in like the finals or semifinals, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then on the bottom half, I think the returning champ is going to be Eric on the left side that moves on. Eric Muniz, who moves on.
Yeah.
And then on the right side, I think it's kind of anybody's to lose. Can you scroll back up?
Yeah, my bad.
I think it's kind of anybody's to lose. I mean, I think it's probably going to be Bones, and then Bones ends up losing to Eric, I think.
I think, and in the bracket, we have Eric and Nicholas Margali, 2021, 2019 champions.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And I think that's how it goes. I am going to lean.
Kind of spoil everything, too.
Oh, yeah.
Though.
I do think I'm going to lean Nicholas Margali.
Okay.
Just because, again, it's hard to bet against champs. Eric Muniz, absolutely could see him take this, but I'm going to lean Margali just because he has never really given me a reason ever to not pick against him.
Fair enough.
Pick for him.
Also, to note, we're missing Pena. Clearly because, I'm assuming because of his super fight.
Well, he retired.
And he retired from
gi.
Sport gi.
From gi.
Okay.
Not from no-gi, but he
left
his belt on the mat last Worlds.
Right.
And then retired there. So, moving on to the heavyweight division. One name only, Kainan Duarte. All right, next match. Not really. We have... He's ranked number 1, obviously, multi-time world champion at this point. He got popped. None of us really care. You're still world champion to me.
You still have the returning podium guys, minus the silver medalists, Luan Ezeved. But you have Demetrius Souza returning and Gabriel Oliveira returning from their 2021 medal appearances. But then you still have Zanji in this division, Matthias Deniz, and Adam Wardzinski. I think those are names to look out for.
Those are the guys that I'm really excited about. I love watching Wardzinski's game at Worlds. I am really, really curious to see how Felipe Trovo and Ronaldo Maidana match up. That's a really fun first-round matchup on the right side, left side of the first bracket. And then the winner there is going to face Kainan Duarte. And then the winner of that faces the winner of Nathan Mendelsohn and Mateus Diniz. I think Diniz takes that.
Yeah.
And then he goes against Ryder Zucchi. If Zucchi can get past the guys in his side, I think that Diniz and Duarte are probably the front runners here on that side of the bracket. I do think Duarte takes that over Diniz, but Mateus could definitely play spoiler there. But I think that Duarte does beat him. And then on the other side of the bracket, I think we are definitely going to have. I kind of love picking out Brzezinski, but I don't know if he gets it done. Yeah, this one's harder for me to pick. I think your picks were good. I'm curious to see how far Sanji's gonna get.
Yeah,
Sanji's my big dark horse now. Like just how he looks now post hand surgery.
Yeah, I think he moves on past the first round and might have a tough time against Demetrius Souza.
Yeah, Souza's a tough dude to crack.
Yeah, he had bronze. He took bronze last year, so
yeah,
I think that's gonna be a tough one for him.
I think we see Souza and Duarte honestly in the finals. Again, Wardzinski can definitely get in there with Souza. That I think will be the fun match on that side.
Yeah.
But Duarte is just so hard to pick against. And
for sure.
Again, it's one of those like I'm not going to pick against the champ.
That's
Moving on. Anything else on the bracket?
No, let's move on. Medium heavy.
Medium heavyweight division. Goddamn big ass bracket.
Yeah, this one's big.
Division bracket of 29 folks. Notably, Leandro Lowe in this bracket. Notably,
Gustavo Batista, returning champion.
Yep.
Andrew Porfirio. I always mispronounce that last name.
Porfirio.
Yeah. Sorry, I have no spice in my voice.
It's all good.
2021 third place, so also a medalist.
We have Roberto Jimenez in here versus Sasaki Braz in the first match. That's one of the matchups that I'm really, really excited to see. Also, we have Murillo Santana is going to fight the winner, or if he gets by Alexandre Santos. But I think we're going to probably see Murillo versus either Roberto Jimenez or versus Sasaki Bahens. So that's going to be a spicy fire matchup in like the second round of that bracket. We have Mateus Souza as well, ranked number 4 in that. And I'm trying to find I was looking for Megaton.
Oh, okay.
But he's not. We're still too high up in the brackets. I kind of want to go Leandro Lowe.
You think Leandro Lowe?
I kind of want to go Leandro Lowe. We're serious.
Never count him out. That's for sure. I would say, I don't know. I mean, this is also missing Hulk, I think.
Yeah.
This is like Hulk's former division. But I think another dark horse, too, that people kind of are probably going to glance over with all these big names is Jansen Gomez, 2021 brown belt champ, double gold. I want to see how far he gets because that could be really promising for the future. He's coming in as number 15 in the bracket. Yeah. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he does against kind of perennial legendary sort of talent.
It's always awesome to see guys on the come up. He's ranked 50. Who's he have first round?
He'll be on the right side of the bracket. Let me see. Just scroll up some.
He has Felipe Chesky, and then he has Gustavo. Oh, there's Gustavo. I was missing because Batista has a bye. Gustavo Batista is going to face him in the second round.
The world's winner.
Yeah.
In 2021.
So that will be fun. I think. I think the winner of that fights Lowe on the other side of the bracket. I think we're going to either have Gustavo and Lowe or Gomez and Lowe. Honestly, I could see Azaki Bahens also winning that. Roberto Jimenez could do it. Really great run at Brown, but a little hit and miss and inconsistent now and again. Hard for me to pick him, but I'm gonna go fucking Lowe.
Okay.
I'm gonna always go Lowe until Lowe like falls off completely. I'm gonna go Leandro Lowe.
Yeah.
Who do you think?
He's one of my favorites, so I'm still gonna go Gustavo Batista to win the whole thing.
I think Batista's a good. We have a good pick there.
It's a safe bet.
It is a safe bet. On to the middleweight division. That's a main gut pick.
Yeah.
Middleweight division. We have Tynan Daupra. Can he do it again? Won his black belt. Not debut. Was it his debut?
His
Worlds. His debut was Worlds and won it.
Worlds won.
Can he do it again? Or is Tommy Langer going to have something to say about that? Or is Manuel Hibmar going to have something to say about that?
Yeah, also don't count out Ronaldo Jr. He's the runner-up to Tynan at Pans.
Yeah.
And I want to say he lost by like an ad or something.
It was a really, really close match.
It was a close match, and it was a war.
Tynan looked really, really good. I loved watching his passing in that because we saw him like... That was a fun match because we saw Tynan basically everyone was playing lasso guard, and Tyner just decided to like deadlift out of the lasso guard after trying to like play outside for a long time, and just eventually was able to get out on points there.
Yeah. Also keep in mind, Asaki Behens is not in this division anymore. We just spoke about him.
No, he's up a
Moved to
division
middle
this year.
heavy.
Yeah.
So he's the 2021 silver medalist, also ADCC trials winner. So another big opening for somebody to.
And he
get on the
also
podium who
he's
might
world
not seen
champ.
before.
He's 2018 world champion. With
2018 world
Behenses.
champion as
Yeah,
well?
Behenses. So yeah, I do. This is a hard one for me to pick.
Man, I think it's the easy safe bet to go Tynan beats everyone
Yeah,
without having to go through the entire bracket.
Unfortunately, I kind of think I do think that's how it's going to go. I do think we'll see a Langacker and Daupra final. Because Langacker is probably, I think, the front runner if he gets past Manuel Hibamar, which he has before, on the other side of the bracket.
I think it'll be really interesting to see how far.
Or Leandro Lara
Andy-
is also on that bracket too.
Like earlier on in that bracket, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how far this Atos stud, who nobody really talks about after Spider, like nobody kept talking about him, but Andy Murasaki, man, that guy is a motherfucker, and like I really want to see him.
Oh,
down
he
at
is
the
in this
bottom.
bracket.
Yeah.
Oh, he's fighting Austin Ordinario in the first match. Ooh, and then he fights Hibamar in the second match if he
Yeah,
gets
that
past
side of the bracket's
Ordinario.
really interesting.
I missed Murasaki was in there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Murasaki's my dark horse. Like
Yeah.
I could see him doing it. I do think that he
I think
probably
Manuel
gets
probably beats him, but I just want. I
Maybe.
mean, that's going to be such a good match.
Yeah, it'll be
I'm really excited to see how that
really
goes.
fun. I missed that Murasaki was in this one again. Like I gave the caveat at the beginning of the pre-show. It's like we're
Yeah,
gonna miss some
you're gonna
names.
Miss someone in the bracket for sure.
Again, a division of 25.
Yeah.
So should be really, really fun. Moving on to the lightweight division. I think what is the spiciest of spicy divisions.
Oh,
We have in this
by
division Levi Jones-Leary, Rodrigo Barbosa as the first match. We have Ty Rotolo versus Hugo Marquez in the first match. Second match for him, because if he gets past Marquez, is Jonathan Alves. Okay, that's just one side of the bracket. On the other side of the bracket, former silver medalist Lucas Valente. We also have Johnny Jacquemin in this, and Pablo Lavaselli. Then, in the second bracket, Espen Mathisen has a bye. We have Igor Nascimento and Kevin Maheka are a first-round matchup. Jonathan Gracie has a bye on that side of the bracket. We have Mateus Gabriel, former world champion, has a bye into his first round for the winner of Jonatas Ramos and Alavi de Moraes. I think Panero takes that there. We also have Micah Galvao at the top end of the second bracket on the right side. And yeah, bro.
Yeah, this one is
This is
super stacked.
This is
and
like
it's kind of
figured out.
because Hanato Canuto's not in the division, and obviously Lucas Lepre is not as well. Also invited to ADCC, both invited to ADCC. It kind of leaves it open to kind of whatever young gun is going to be the best out of this bracket, and you could throw a rock and not have a bad guess. Like
Bro, this one,
Ty Rotolo, Black Belt Worlds debut,
So-
coming off 2019 and 2021 Brown Belt Championships. Jonathan Alves, this is his Black Belt Worlds debut, coming off a 2019 Brown Belt World Championship, 2022 PANS winner. Mateus Gabriel.
so
looking to
Mateus
get a win
Gabriel, former world champion, can absolutely
at
take
Feather.
Can absolutely take this. Espen Mathisen,
Yeah.
number 3 ranked, has been killing everyone.
Just won 2022 Euros.
Jonathan Gracie, okay,
Yep.
and Michael Galvao in one of the brackets on all 4 corners.
I think a lot of people jumping into this weight class is going to make it really interesting. Like Jonatas is dropping down a weight class.
Jonathan
from last year.
Alves
Yep.
is in this bracket, former world champion. And then on the top end of that, we got Levi Jones-Leary on the other side. And then we have Ty Rotolo in this bracket. And Lucas Valente, like,
Yeah.
I think
it's anyone's to win for sure, in my opinion.
I think that Ty Rotolo takes his bracket.
Okay.
Not gonna that's like it's a long shot, but
don't think it's that long of a shot.
I think he gets by Jonathan Alves just with activity. I think Alves is. I think he will throw a pace at Alves that Alves has a problem with, because Alves is so used to being able to lock guys down, and I do not think he will be able to do that to Ty. Even now, and why I say this, like I've never seen Alves not be able to do it to anyone. But I think we saw his match for EUG versus Michael Galvao. I think that Ty is going to be unwilling to be locked down.
Okay.
I think he's going to get by Levi Jones-Leary as well. Levi Jones-Leary is going to play that Bolo game. Ty's going to have no qualms about playing that Bolo game and countering it.
I think stylistically, I think Alves has a I don't know. It's gonna be tough, man. I was about to say something like I don't know. Maybe not. I was gonna say Ty would have a harder time with Alves than he would with Jones Leary stylistically. I think those AOJ and Atos kind of head-to-head matchups make for really exciting matches, and I think the Unity style, which I feel like is kind of person to person more so than Atos or AOJ, but Levi Jones Leary style, let's call it that. I think that is a bad stylistic matchup for him against Ty, where I think Jonatha might be a little more hip to like the slick kind of back-taking, guard-pulling sort of offense that he would set up. But I don't know. I think my pick for this part of the bracket on both ends is probably going to be... Let's go with Ty, man. I really like him as a dark horse.
Yeah, and
this entire
I think
top bracket.
Ty takes the top one, and I think that on the bottom end, Michael Galvao takes the bottom end. Although I think that Mateus Gabriel versus Michael Galvao is a really, really interesting matchup.
There's so many interesting matchups in the second bracket that I'm not even sure.
This is a coin toss. Like this is a bracket that I will get wrong in some reason. Someone's gonna.
For sure, I'm gonna get a lot of.
Someone's gonna get upset.
Yeah.
Because everyone can't win, and this is a bracket where you have literally 6 guys that I would pick to win.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, someone's gonna beat someone.
Yeah.
I have no idea who that's gonna be.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are looking forward to predicting Mika Galvao and Ty Rotolo final. But there's so many.
They're also
they
can't be a final. It can only be a semifinal because they're on the same bracket. Oh no, I'm wrong. No, I'm wrong.
They're not.
Yep. Levi Jones Leary is on the same side in the same place that Micah is.
Yeah. So Ty and Mika can make it to the finals against each other.
Yes.
I think that makes for the most interesting storyline. I think everybody's gunning for that to happen, but there's so many really good names
that would still be a surprising
everything.
finish.
Yeah.
This is gonna be rough next week. Also,
that's like looking at March Madness and being like, I think number 1's gonna fight number 2. It's like, no, it's not, dude. Like that never ends up happening. So I think it's really interesting.
That's a good way to put that. Yeah. So good luck with the lightweight bracket.
Yeah.
Moving on to the featherweight bracket, we have AJ Agazarm in here. I missed him actually when I previewed initially. We have Sam Nagai in here. We have Fabricio Andre in here as well on the same side of the bracket. We got Isaac Doderlin on the other side of that. I think we're going to have a Fabricio Andre and Isaac Doderlin final here for that first bracket. We also have Alexander Sodre as well that could throw a wrench into that, but I just think that Fabricio Andre, that trials, that performance that he had at trials sticks out so readily in my mind for ADCC that I'm like, ain't no one beating him. Again, you can, but after that, I'm not going to pick him till you show me. Also, on the second bracket here for this division, returning world champion Shane Jamil Taylor. He takes on the winner of Daniel Myra and
2018 champ, 2021 silver.
Yeah.
Fabricio Andre is the returning champ.
What's I say? Sorry,
returning champion.
Former world champion is what I meant to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just clarifying.
Yeah, because he was out for injury for a long time, and now he's back again. You saw him last year at Worlds, but obviously that Worlds was like weird last year. It wasn't at the same time. It was like we just had it in December.
Right.
So it's weird. We're like having Worlds 6 months apart.
Right.
And I realized that just now why it feels so weird because we just had a Worlds. But this is the DJ Khaled Worlds. Another one.
Another one.
This is the second breakfast of Worlds. Also, on the other side of the bracket, we have Josh Cisneros. Looked great at trials. Looked great last year's Worlds. Last year's Pans. This year's Pans. I think that Shane Jamil Taylor takes his section of the featherweight bracket here, and then he faces off in the finals again with Fabricio Andre.
So you think it's going to be a repeat of last year for Fabricio
I do.
and Shane Jamil Taylor in the finals?
Yep, I do. What do you think?
Alex and Diego Sodre are no people to sleep on.
They're not.
Sam McNally just recently won Euro trials. Man, Kenny Damasio can spoil things. Josh Cisneros can spoil things. Sam Nagai can spoil things. Isaac Doderlin can spoil things. It's a pretty safe bet.
That's what I'm saying. It's like they're all guys that can spoil, but I think your front runners are still your medalists, your silver medalist guys coming and showing up at Worlds.
Return podium guys. So it's not anybody who's necessarily.
It's all guys that have been there before that we know can get it done.
Yeah,
and I think that's the thing that makes me go, I gotta pick them.
I'm gonna go with Shane, man. I saw some of his training footage.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that.
That room, that TLI room,
that'd be really cool.
They're like 30 minutes from us. That room just looks murderous right now.
For sure.
And then we're gonna see them all at DC Open here in 4 4 weeks.
I think Shane's hungry for it. I think he wants to avenge his loss against Fabricio in the last World, so I'm looking for him to win the entire thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to the light featherweight division for the men. This is an interesting division. This is the division I think that I had more problems in kind of when you previewed it and thought about it than any other division.
Huh. Okay.
Why, do you not?
I think Pato wins again, man.
Yeah, I think he does. It's just like I'm.
What you got?
No, and that's why I think Pato wins. I'm just trying to think of like.
I mean,
we have Malachi as well.
Malachi and
Pato
from last year.
Thiago George is on the same side of the bracket. Junior Ocasio is on that same side of the bracket. He's probably going to face Thiago George in their first match. Miriam Alves from Dream Art is also on the opposite side of the bracket. Will probably face Malachi if Malachi is able to get through Thiago George from Cesar Costa International, which is no small feat there.
Martinez from Dream Art also is third place 2021. So
yeah,
he's also
medalist.
Medalist as well.
Mm-hmm. Again, it's just I'm also biased because I have a loss to Malachi, and so like if that dude wins a world championship, then I get to I have a checklist of another world champion that beat my ass that I lost to.
The guy who dunked on me, who I think's in that same boat. He's a black belt now, fighting.
Exactly. I'm like, if you could just like
root for him, so
win
I can do the MMA math,
not
so that I can be like, oh yeah, I scored on him once.
Not gonna that's kind of what I want.
Right after that, he immediately dunked on me. But
full disclosure, I'm gonna pick Malachi most of the time for that reason. But I do think Pato takes this one. I think that I think that, again, dudes look next level, and that's like what.
Oh yeah.
Just, he's looked phenomenal and continues to look phenomenal. I think we have a rematch.
Yeah, rematch of finals.
I think these two divisions are rematches again. I do think Pato takes it. Mm-hmm. I do know Malachi will have made changes. I am curious to see. I do not think the match looks the same.
Yeah.
I don't think he gets subbed like he did last year, but
that's so hard to tell. I'm not sure, but yeah,
I'm excited for this because I think we'll see it again.
I think
opposite sides of the bracket. Okay, next one, last men's division. We got the roosterweight, notably no Mikey Musumeci because he lives in Singapore now and his appendix exploded.
Yeah, he had an appendectomy, so he's not going to be in this.
He also, I think, just like is done. He's like, I did it. Like I don't.
Yeah, he wasn't signed up for it before the news about the appendectomy came out. So
he just decided, like, no, I'm living in Singapore now. I'm big chilling.
Yeah,
I'm getting paid by one more money than I was ever gonna win. He made $50,000 bonus in one. He was like, you mean I don't have to do all these murder monster matches in like this weird event in California?
He's got nothing left to prove. I mean, as far as Americans go,
he's got nothing else to prove, and he's like, if I don't have to do it again, I can make way more money. Living in Singapore, fighting one. Let's do that. And I'm like, props to you, Mikey.
For sure.
Again, unfortunate, we're not going to see him at either roosterweight or we either return to rooster or return to light feather.
Right.
So who you pick? Also, notably,
yeah.
We don't.
That's the easy answer.
Interesting thing, we also don't have Malfacine.
Yeah.
Back. Malfacine's also done.
Not in also.
But he's done 10-time world champion. Like crazy. We have Tomoyuki Hashimoto in here, always in the mix as well.
Two big names, I think. Hani Barbosa returning third place.
Local guy, Tyan and Tadaya is in here as well. Black belt debut. Not black belt debut. I think world's debut.
World's debut at black belt for sure.
So who you going?
I'm going Taliesin Soros.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely the one. I don't want to say it's his to lose, but I think he's one of the favorites for sure.
Yeah.
And then Hani Barbosa, who's also returning medalist, also someone to look out for.
I think honestly, as much as it's kind of like not as interesting to talk about, I think that those are your two guys.
I went number 1 and number 2. It's not that interesting.
No.
But to be fair, I did that before the seeding came out. But
it's as boring as it is a pick. I think it is a reasonable pick.
Those are the safe bets for sure.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the women. Starting off with the super heavy, a division of 5. I think, again, as pretty much always, unfortunately, we're going to see Gabriele Passana versus Yana Suarez in the finals. Suarez has taken it, but recently has struggled versus Gabriele. I think that we see that same 1-2 final again, and we have Suarez kind of second place to Gabriele, unfortunately. Not unfortunately. It's great. It's great chunk of technique, but it is a
last year. It's not
it is a matchup that we have seen we've covered on the show 5 or 6 times in weight and in absolute over and over and over again.
Right.
I think it goes kind of the same way.
For sure.
I don't have a whole lot else to add unless you do.
I don't either. I pretty much agree with you. I think it's going to be a repeat of the finals last year, and I think Gabby takes it.
Yep. Next match in heavyweight division, we have Maggie Grandotti. In this match, we have Melissa Couto in here, and we have Rafaela Geddes. I'm gonna go Geddes in this one.
Man.
Who you going? Do you have a different pick? I love Rafaela Geddes' style, and she just consistently just will buzzsaw people. And
scroll up a bit. She no longer.
It's a division of 6.
Yeah, I thought.
Who's in here before you were looking for?
Natalie Jesus was in this one. But it looks like she's not. This is heavy, correct? This is super heavy.
This is heavy. So I flipped over to see if DeJesus was in. So is DeJesus in?
Yeah. She was not super heavy either. So she must have dropped down.
Yeah, she's dropped out, I think, because she's not medium heavy either, and she wouldn't. I don't
think she's gonna make middle.
I wouldn't think she would make middle.
Imagine.
Yeah, no. So
man, 2019 and then 5-time champion if you include all the absolutes that she's won.
Right.
So man, if she's not in it,
kind of opens up the door.
It does a little bit.
Again, Geddes has
last year's winner.
Yeah. Quintet could definitely take it again. I really, really like Geddes' style and just her performances at Who's Number One and all the Nogi stuff that we've covered her on. I just really like her style, and I think that eventually she is going to put the pieces together to make it happen in the gi.
Yeah. They're also missing last year's silver medalist.
Yeah.
Isadora Silva.
Isidore.
Yeah.
It's kind of open for anyone.
Oh crap, man! Maybe I'll go Maggie Grandotti just for funsies.
Yeah, I mean Grandotti again has started to put it together. Black, former blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, world champion, back to back. Yeah. Struggled a little bit at black, but I
bronze last year. So
we've seen her start to make the changes that she has needed to and look better and better at black belt. But she had a rough go initially, so could be the year for her as well. Moving on to the medium heavyweight division, a division of 9. Notably, we have Amy Campo. So my bad. I interviewed Amy Campo at ADCC West Coast Trials. The video is up, just not public.
Okay.
And so it will be up on the Grappling Grind YouTube page probably today or tomorrow.
Sweet.
I realized that it was never made public, and I'm like, cool, that would be an awesome interview to get out. Former brown belt champion, West Coast Trials winner, and I have this interview that I didn't put out. So she is in this. She's making her black belt debut at Worlds. We have Ana Carolina Vieira as well in this bracket. We have Elizabeth Mitrovic. We cover all the time on Fight to Win. We have Isildur, Christina Silva from DreamArt.
So she did drop down and win.
She dropped down.
Okay.
And we have Maria Miliesic in here as well from Emma Barbosa, a local competitor for us, but multiple time world medalist.
2021 heavyweight bronze, 22 pan champ.
I kind of want to go again, an easy kind of pick.
Yeah.
For the seeding, I kind of want to go Ana Carolina Vieira, Baby Vieira. She does have, if Amy Campo is able to get past Bruna Maciel, she will face Amy Scott Campo from Alliance, from Zenith. Really, really curious how that match goes because we've seen both of them look really phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I think that would be fun. Elizabeth Mitrovic is definitely in the mix here. She takes on Fernanda Cristo in the first round on that same side of the bracket. Winner will fight the winner of probably Scott Campo or Ana Carolina. But I do think that we're probably going to see a final of either Isildur or the winner of Isildur Marisa.
Yeah.
Maria Miliesic on that side.
That's the match I'm looking forward to the most leading up to the finals. Maria Miliesic and Isadora Silva. I
think we're going to have a 1-2-3 for those for Ana Carolina, Maria Miliesic, and Isildur. I don't know if Isildur can get past Miliesic, but I think she does.
Okay.
And I think we have a final of Ana Carolina and Isildur. That's so a really
repeat of last year, kind of, in that they were both in the finals last year.
Yeah,
but not against each other, obviously.
Right. So I think that's where it goes. I do think Ana Carolina takes it though.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would go with Ana Carolina to win the division, but the match to watch to me, if they get past their first round, is going to be Maria Miliesic and Isadora Silva.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be great. I think 3 or 4 really good matches in this bracket. Next one, onto the women's middleweight division. One of the bigger divisions we have, a division of 14 for the women. And Jessa Sintra. Number 1 seed here, returning champion. I interviewed her a couple years ago. I think for BJJ Fanatics.
Nice.
I did some work for them. Really cool to speak to her right after her victory that year. We have Chloe McNally in this division. I'm looking for the other number 2. Oh, Tamara Silva is on the other side of the bracket. We have Elizabeth Clay.
Yeah, both Chloe and Elizabeth dropped down from medium heavy. So they're 2021 silver at medium heavy and bronze at medium heavy, respectively.
Yeah. So I do think that we have Tamara Silva versus Elizabeth Clay in the semifinals on the right side of the bracket versus Angessa Sintra and I think honestly Raquel Canuto. Again, ranked a little lower, but looked amazing. She's gotten crazy. If you follow her on Instagram, she has gotten in absolutely crazy shape recently in preparation for ADCC trials, and I think she's carried that over into Worlds with her husband, Rafael Canuto. I do think we're going to see Sintra versus Canuto. I do think Sintra takes that, but I think it's a really interesting matchup that I'm excited for on that side of the bracket. I think also have Vanessa. I missed it. We have Vanessa Griffin as well. Yeah, probably going to take on Angessa Sintra. I missed her. She could definitely throw a wrench into things
for sure.
Former brown belt world champion. Again, struggled a little bit moving into black belt, which is not uncommon in women's divisions. There's typically less of a immediate success at black belt for a lot of the women.
For sure.
And in a way, that you don't.
Yeah,
you
I think
kind
the
of
level jump is different.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the guys who either double gold at brown belt or have kind of won almost like Grand Slam at black belt or get close to doing it. They really have almost immediate success, like Tynan.
Johanna Alves.
Yes, some of the Atos LJ guys
a lot
have done that.
You can point to many guys.
They're the guys
women,
to look out for next.
The women tend to have a couple of years to kind of adjust into it. And I was trying to think of like a way to say that.
Yeah.
But Vanessa Griffin, I think, is starting. She's been a black belt for a couple of years now, starting to make those changes. I'm very curious to see how she matches up with former world champion Angessa Sintra here.
Yeah. Also missing Claire North, who was the bronze medalist last year in this division.
Yeah, but this is fun now. I think we get the winner of Canuto and Griffin. The winner of Griffin and Angessa Sintra here is going to fight. I think that Canuto is going to get through, but I think that either Vanessa Griffin or Angessa Sintra is able to stop her. And then moves on to the finals. And I think that we have a fun matchup between Elizabeth Clay and Tamara Ferreira. But I think that Ferreira gets by Clay. I think they have faced each other before. I'm curious to see if Clay can kind of get her knee bar game going a little more in a way that kind of Ferreira has shut it down.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think in their prior match
might have affected both Clay and McNally. So maybe that's a factor that plays into some of the matchups.
Yeah. So who you going? You going Sintra?
I'm going. Let me consult my notes here. Just based on how the bracket is situated, I think if Sintra gets past Griffin, I think she wins the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, also Chloe McNally's in this from Unity.
Yeah.
I'm not as familiar with her game, but she is definitely, I think, she's a newer black belt, correct?
I think she is. She was a medium heavy last year. Okay. Or last Worlds.
At black belt?
At black belt.
Okay, so maybe I'm incorrect. There's a Unity prospect in one of the divisions that somebody messaged me about. I'm now, because it's midnight, blanking on.
Is it Margot?
I think yeah.
Ciccarelli?
Yeah.
We're about to talk about her next.
Okay, that's what I was looking at. So that does it for the middleweight division. On to the light division for the ladies, we have a big division of like 18 people, which is
it's pretty big.
Which is wild. Which we have number 2 slot. We have Theon Davies. And we have on the opposite side of her bracket, we have Margaret Cicerelli and we have Luisine dos Santos are kind of the big players there. But Cicerelli is a new black belt from Unity. I think that on that bottom section of the bracket, we're going to see Theon and Margot. Margot?
Yeah. T silent. It's French.
Is it?
The name is French, yeah.
No, it's wild. Margot.
You've never heard of Margot? That's crazy. She's insanely talented.
Spanish names I'm okay with. Portuguese names I'm pretty bad at. European names I'm trash at.
Yeah. Yeah, she's one to watch for sure. I really like how technical her guard game is, and like hearing her explain a lot of the technical ends of why you would do what you do for like some of the back taking stuff she does. It's really phenomenal. I would say check out her instructionals, and I would say check out her Instagram feed's really good too for some of that content.
Yeah. Very fun. And then on the other side of the bracket, we have Gabby on the top end of the bracket, because it's a 2-bracket event. We have Gabby McComb sitting in that third slot on the top right-hand corner of the bracket, and we have Natalie Habero from Checkmat on the opposite side, and the number 1 seed. Claire North also rounds out that side. We're probably going to see a matchup.
Claire North dropped down.
Yeah.
Oh.
Probably going to see a matchup with Claire North and Natalie Habero in that the quarterfinal, but the semifinal of bracket 1 on that side. I think the winner of that will move on. I think Habero takes that. I am always curious, people dropping down, how that affects them. We've seen people do it successfully up and again, weight classes. Sure. We've seen it go both ways, but that's kind of Worlds. I don't think Worlds is a crapshoot, but everyone brings such a high level to Worlds. Like, there are so many different X factors. The weight is, for me, almost like one of the least important things. These people go in at their best weight, unless they're specifically trying to avoid a team member. Because usually everyone goes into Worlds like trying to fight a guy,
right? Not
trying to avoid someone.
For sure.
So it's like, no one's ever scared. There was like going.
I don't think that's ever the case, or usually isn't the case.
Right. For those high level competitors, they're like looking. It's like, I'll beat everyone.
Of course. Yeah, I think everyone in like the adult black belt Worlds bracketing assumes that they're a winner. Like,
yes,
they're probably the best person in their gym and locally.
Yes.
And regionally, probably for that matter. So then, by the time they get to this level, they're not anticipating losing to anyone.
No. Yeah, and it's a mentality shift, and we
for sure.
I'm very, very curious. I don't think the weight move for Claire North is going to matter much. So I think that she comes in and looks amazing. That's why I'm very, very curious about her matchup with Natalie Habero. Again, Habero is really comfortable at lightweight. I do want to see the winner of that matchup, but I think it's going to happen, take on Gabby McComb. That will be a really fun one. Whoever wins that, I think, on that side of the bracket, moves on to the finals. Fionn Davies. Do you think this is the year that she gets it?
I don't know. I went to a seminar of hers really shortly ago, and like to watch her put pressure on people who I know. I didn't get to roll with her, but watching her roll with people who I knew are good, and she like absolutely murked them, and it was pretty incredible to watch.
Yeah, and Fionn Davies is not a large lady.
Yeah, she also got invited to ADCC, so I wonder how that gi training is gonna factor in. Same thing you said.
She looked great at last ADCC as well. So
we're also missing Bia. We're also missing Luisa Montero. So I kind of think it's kind of anyone's game.
And that's what those two missing from this weight class are kind of like throws a real wrench into like the normal picks for us.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. Like, I mean, I assume Bia maybe because of ADCC, and she's won it a bunch, so maybe ADCC wants to focus more on Nogi. But I was really surprised to see Luisa not in it. She took silver last year, and usually that might be, that might be the reason I don't know. Maybe she doesn't want to come back and try again, but it seems like this would be her year to win it.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I do think... God, this is a tough one to pick.
Yeah, Natalie Habero, returning bronze medalist. Tamiris Montero, 2021 World No-Gi champ. 2021 silver brown Worlds in Gi. I don't know.
Yeah, this is the one I think I'm having the most part. Like, I want to go with Fionn because I know her game really well, and this is my comfort pick.
Yeah,
I'm just like, I'm so familiar with her game. I know what she does well. I know how she succeeds.
I feel that same way about Margot. It's kind of my dark horse to spoil things.
Yeah,
but I think, I don't know, the logical pick to me is probably either Gabby McComb.
Yeah, or your world champion last year.
Yeah,
I mean,
feather.
That's obviously.
So she can make the transition to light and still be comfortable. Then I would go either Gabby McComb, and then, man, yeah, I'm gonna go Gabby McComb, man.
I do too. Again,
no one to play with either.
Your world champ. Again, this is back to the default picks again. Is like you pick your former world. If you have a toss up, you pick your former world champion. Again, different weight class.
Sure, yeah.
But again, I don't think that really matters at the world stage for people. You're gonna go in the weight class you're best at. It's up or down one. Yeah, you're still best there.
Yeah.
You're going to get the best performance out of your body there. Moving on to the women's featherweight class, a division of 8. We have Gabby Fletcher taking on Sophia Dalpra in the first round on the bottom side of the left-hand side of the bracket. We have Bianca Basilio taking on Alex Yanes. We have Amanda Montero on the other side of the bracket taking on Rafael de Rabia. And we have Luisa Campos taking on Gabriela Pereira. I think that this is the Bianca Basilio show. Not Bia, sorry. I think this is Bianca Basilio.
Yeah, with
unfortunately.
with Gabby McComb going up to light, this should be really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look at this for a second.
Amanda Montero is your 2018 world champ, but you have no other returning world champions here in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
In this, I think
Bianca
that...
took silver last year.
Yeah.
Gabriella Fector, excuse me, she took bronze last year.
I mean, it's either Amanda Montero or it's Bianca Basilio. And
I think you would be hard pressed to make an argument against Bianca in this bracket.
yeah,
Yeah.
I do too. That's again small bracket. I think that's all I have.
Yeah.
Moving on to the light featherweight division, a division of 10 for the women. We have Jessica Khan here returning. We have Tammy Musumeci. So although Mikey's not making the trip out, Tammy is still making the trip out. Former world champion. We have Anna Rodriguez here as well, former world champion. This is a fun one. I think this is a finals of Tammy and Anna Rodriguez here.
Let me take a look here.
They're on opposite sides of the bracket. They're both on the top end. They're ranked seeded 1 and 2.
It'd be interesting to see Jessica Khan against Tammy if both of them win their matches.
Yeah.
I would be hard pressed to go against Tammy in that matchup. So I think that's reasonable to say Anna Rodriguez and Tammy in the final, and then Anna taking it, in my opinion.
You think Anna takes it over Tammy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of do too. Again, Tammy...
That's a crapshoot. I'm not saying it like if someone's like, nope, Tammy wins. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I could see it going that way too.
Absolutely. I think, I do kind of want to lean Anna Rodriguez here as well. Tammy Musumeci has had a couple of safer matches recently where she didn't really open up, and we've seen her do that at Worlds before. I just think that the style of the game, that is a tougher strategy to make work nowadays. That's something we saw more 2014, 2015, 2016. But as 2022, we're seeing that struggle a little more at the higher level. And again, Tammy absolutely has the tools and skills. We've seen her do it. We've seen her do it numerous times. But I think that Anna Rodriguez, just that continued forward pressure will get this done for her.
Yep.
And moving on to the roosterweight division for the women, Maisa Bastos.
Yeah, we just saw her at ACC South American trials. Still looked great. Just won that.
Now, as much as I say, sorry, you keep going then. As much as I say that, we do have Brenda Larissa in this.
Yeah.
Who has beaten her before.
Yeah.
But I don't think that at Worlds you're going to beat Bastos. We have Serena
so
Gabrielli
either.
at this.
Yeah, 2021 bronze medalist, Serena. Yeah, man, it's so hard to go against her.
Oh yeah, that's why it's you see Bastos, Unity Jiu-Jitsu, ranked number 1, former world champion, most recently. Good luck. I do think we're going to see her and Brenda in the finals. I think that's definitely the finals that we get.
Agreed.
But I don't have much more to add there.
No, I'm going Maisa as well. Maisa Brenda's a pretty safe bet for the final matchup, I'd say as well.
This is one of the spiciest worlds we've had in a couple of years. Again, we had a couple weird years, but
the adult male lightweight division is going to be one of the most interesting. There's going to be a shakeup no matter what happens. I'm really excited to see that bracket.
Somebody that we don't see lose very often or ever.
It's
is going to lose.
Yeah, you have maybe 5 or 6 really big names of people who are either up and coming young gun, some combination of an up and coming young gun, a person who switched divisions who's a former champion, or a former brown belt world champion. So lots of heavy drama in that lightweight division, adult male.
Yeah. It's gonna be a phenomenal weekend of grappling. I'm gonna be so fucking tired next week.
Best of luck.
I think it's you, me, and Zach. They're gonna do the recap next week, so it'll be amped. I realize this table is smaller than the previous table, so I'm gonna hook up
than Zach.
Zach's a large man. I'm not sure where I'm gonna put him. Probably put him in the corner there. But anything fun going on this week for you?
Nah, man. I'm just living my best life. Growing a beard.
Watching lots of jiu-jitsu, and we're gonna watch a ton of worlds, dude. Yeah. But it's gonna be a very fun week. I'm very excited for it. I got nothing. Again, it's Worlds week. What are you doing this week? Watching worlds.
Watching worlds.
Watching worlds. Watching watching like a whole. It's my normal week, except probably watch 4 or 5 times more jiu-jitsu than I already watch.
Especially
because
gi jiu-jitsu. How much gi jiu-jitsu do you usually watch in a week?
Honestly, now that we do a lot more of the professional stuff, then professional stuff is really skewing heavy no-gi.
Yeah.
So most of what I'm watching nowadays is no-gi. We cover the majors, but there's far few professional events that showcase the gi. You know, even more so than ever before.
Right.
EUG, I can only point to a couple of gi events that are like professional events that we cover.
For sure.
So it'd be cool to watch some gi. Again, we both train like a ton in the gi.
Yeah.
And so I think I split my time pretty evenly. So it is nice to be able to cover like the cream of the crop, high level no gi stuff.
Yeah.
Throughout the week.
100%. Especially on the heels of ADCC coming up a few months from now.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to see who has won at trials and or got an invite, and then see how they perform in the gi, and then also make that transition in a couple of months to the highest level of no-gi. I think that's really interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. We again, like, see Lovato doing both, Sanji doing both, like so many guys and women that are at the top of the sport.
Right.
Showcasing their skills with the gi and without the gi. So I'm excited for it. It's going to be a super fun week. As always, in the show, I'm your host, Maine, the host.
Austin.
We have the grappling rerun to see the mat, whatever it is. Stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.